The following is a presentation of MRN Radio, celebrating 25 years of great NASCAR coverage.
The NASCAR Winston Cup Series returns to the Superspeedways today for the Winston Select 500. The only predictable factor about today's race is its unpredictability. Speeds in excess of 193 miles an hour, 20-car drafts, 3 and 4 wide racing. Sterling Marlin won the Daytona 500 in February. Does that automatically make him the favorite to win here in Talladega today?
You know, Daytona's more of a handling track, and you can weed, a bunch of cars out at Daytona once you start the race on handling. And here it's wide, and the corner's not as tight, and a lot of cars can hang on it. You can generally shake at Daytona. So here it's the travel's a lot wider, 2 or 3 deep through the travel a lot. So it's a lot more competitive race here.
150,000 race fans are in their seat waiting for the green flag. From Talladega, Alabama, the Winston Select 500. Next.
MRN Radio presents NASCAR Today. Sponsored by Goody's Headache Powders and Pain Relief Tablets, the official pain reliever of NASCAR.
Good afternoon, everyone, from the Talladega Superspeedway. Well, they have been pouring into this racetrack since before daybreak this morning, and Eli Gold, I don't think there's a seat here that isn't filled right now. You know, every Winston Cup track has its own personality, but there is no track in the world that can match what we see here at Talladega. For sheer speed and close drafting, nothing compares. And for those hair-raising finishes, this track has no equal in the world.
That's exactly right, Barney Hall. The finishes we've seen here have been 3 and 4 wide. There have been finishes on cars' roofs, on their sides, in the wall, any combination of the same, and that's what makes Talladega so very special. And super speedway racing has been so very unpredictable as a general rule for NASCAR's Winston Cup Series. This year, 4 super speedway races already and 4 different winners. Sterling Marlin won at Daytona, Rusty Wallace at Rockingham, Ernie Irvan in Atlanta, Dale Earnhardt was the winner in Darlington. And then you take a look at this racetrack singly by itself. Rusty Wallace has never won here. Mark Martin has never won here. Jeff Bodine, Ricky Rudd, Kyle Petty. Those are just a few of the fellows who have never managed to conquer this high-speed 2.66-mile racetrack, and that's why it's so very special to them. They'd all like to break into victory lane here today.
And there are an awful lot of potential winners. This racetrack has also favored a lot of dark horses over the years that have won only one race in an entire career, but it came right here at Talladega. So if we see somebody in victory lane that is a totally new face, won't be a big surprise.
It's an overcast day, although the weatherman says there's no threat of rain. Temperature right now, 72 degrees. So from a standpoint of the fans and the drivers, it really couldn't be any more perfect of an afternoon. 1 year ago, Ernie Irvan won this race, and he won it from a farther back starting spot than ever in the history of the Winston Select 500. He won from a 16th starting spot. Heck, his chances should be iced today. He starts in the pole. Let's get his thoughts with Jim Phillips.
Bush pole winning speed 193.298, and this car has been so good all week, Ernie. Have you even made any adjustments to it?
No, we sure have. I'm trying to get it to handle good, and the guys at Carolina Race Cars put the body on this thing, and it's made for speed, and did a great job. But me and Larry's been working on getting it to drive better. That's our problem at Daytona, and I think we got her dialed in for today.
How about today's race? Last year we had a wild finish during this race. Do you expect the same thing today?
Well, there's no doubt we're at Talladega, so it's going to be wild. Hopefully it'll be a nice, safe race. Everybody can come out of here and go to the next race, and nobody will be hurt, and we'll have a good race. And this Texaco Avalon Ford, I think, is going to lead some today and maybe lead a lot, and I think it's going to be a close race come the finish. Whoever it might be with, it's going to be tight. It's just Talladega.
That's Ernie Irvan, Bush pole winner, his second Bush pole of the year, and they did change the entire wiring harness on this car this morning. They started it up, and the engine kept shutting off, so they didn't take any chances. They have a new wiring harness in the car right now.
Tell you what, just about everybody in the garage you talk to feels like that will be the car to beat here today, and they've been smiling all week long. I kind of feel like if they don't have any problems, he'll be the man they'll be chasing. Todd Bodine, as we've talked about in recent weeks, continues to get better every time he goes onto the racetrack. Had a great qualifying run here this weekend. Will be starting third on the field. Winston Kelly is with him.
Fresh off a great run last weekend. You went out early, Todd, just about captured that first Bush pole. What were your thoughts during qualifying? Did you think it would stand up? You a little bit nervous?
Well, I didn't know. I didn't think it'd stand up. At Talladega, the more cars that qualify, normally the faster they go because it cools off. And, Ernie and Loy and Earnhardt and a couple of these guys still were left to go, and I knew it was going to be tough to hold on. We're real pleased with it. That was faster than we'd run all day. So, this factory stores Ford, Adidas Ford, it's running good. It drafted good yesterday. Drafted with Ernie some, and hopefully we can stick right here on his back bumper and hang around all day.
Tell us about your race strategy. It's the same car that you ran in Daytona. You were up front when you got swept into a wreck. How do you approach this race?
Well, the main thing, like I said, I want to be around all day. I want to get some laps and some drafting experience. I was really getting some experience at Daytona and learning a lot with Earnhardt and Ernie, and that's what I want to do today, is just stick around and be at the front and try to stay out of trouble and just be around for the finish. Here at Talladega, if you're around for the finish and you got a good car, you've got a shot to win.
Todd Bodine starts this beautiful red, white, and blue Ford in third this afternoon.
Jimmy Spencer a year ago missed the victory here at Talladega by just the least small margin. Driving then for Bobby Allison Motorsports, he came home in second spot. He'd like to think that today could be his day for a Winston Cup victory lane visit. Jimmy is joined by Jim Phillips as he starts in fifth spot.
Well, I know, Jimmy, that you're not pleased that this year so far your best finish has been 10th. You've got a great starting position today.
I tell you, Jim, the guys have been working hard on McDonald's team, qualifying really good the last couple of races, and I tell you something, we got a good car today, and hopefully our luck will turn for us.
Do you think this car is capable of winning the race today?
I really do. The car has been a brand new Banjo Matthews car. Junior Johnson set the thing up. My guys do what Junior tells us, and we've been running a lot better since that. I'll tell you something, it's drafting real good. The car is absolutely awesome in the draft. That's what I think you need today in the 500.
Well, if looks have got anything to do with it, he's got a determined look on his face. Jimmy Spencer's ready to rumble today.
Pre-race activities taking place at the start-finish line below us. Special honorees here this weekend, including Richard Brickhouse, who won the very first race here at Talladega back some 25 years ago, and the winner the very next year of the Alabama 500, as it was called then, Pete Hamilton, who's also on hand here. Both men have been involved in the activities here yesterday. Honorary officials for the International Race of Champions event here yesterday afternoon, and again here today for the Winston Select 500. Back now to the starting grid, where Greg Sachs qualified awfully well. The U.S. Air Ford will start 6th today. He always likes these big racetracks ever since winning the Pepsi Firecracker 400, as they called it, at Daytona back in 1985. Greg says this could be his day as well. Let's get his thoughts.
Back at a super speedway, back with Greg Sachs up toward the front of the field. So what else is new? But Greg, looking to today's race, is the car capable of winning?
Well, I'll tell you, it's real exciting today, Winston. This US Air Jasper Engines Ford Thunderbird is really getting the job done. I feel right at home here at Talladega. Let's go out there and try and pull down a victory.
How about the strategy the first few laps? You've got a rookie up front, but somebody certainly not a rookie just in front of you, Dale Earnhardt. What do you do those first few laps?
Well, the way I see it, if Lloyd steps on it and gets with the program, we'll just go right along. If he hesitates and Dale makes a move high or low, I'll be stuck to that 3 like glue.
Greg Sachs starts the U.S. Air colors in 6th this afternoon.
Sterling Marlin's had some great runs, both here and at Daytona in recent years. I remember when he came on the scene way back in the late 70s, and he came to Talladega in equipment that was far from being a winning car. He always had some really strong runs. He was all smiles all week long. He starts back in 10th position. Jim Phillips is with him.
Well, he started out like a lion. He won the Daytona 500, finished second at Rockingham. The last 6 starts, only one top 10 finish. Is today the day you turn it around?
I think it is. We, the boys have done a really good job on the car. We didn't qualify exactly for 1 and 2, but the car's running great now and run some real good laps yesterday evening. And we're going to try to slip in here and get this 100,000 and go to the house.
Well, this is the second leg of the Winston Million. You run second at this racetrack. What is it going to take for you to win today, though?
Well, hopefully, we can get 4 or 5 of us can break away from all the rest of the pack and come down to us at the end. Sometimes it happens like that here, and then sometimes you're fighting 15 guys. So it's just a big chess game. You got to work it all day, and hopefully you'll be in position to win it when it comes down to it.
Well, he's powered by a Rutt Pittman engine. They've won here before. He can do it again today.
And the team is hoping to change their luck. Sterling's crew chief, Tony Glover, and the team manager, Larry McClure, along with a crew member or two, have all shaved their mustaches this week. They say, well, maybe that'll change our luck. We'll try anything we can. One man who shaved his mustache a year ago is hoping to find some kind of luck here today, and that's Jeff Gordon. Here's a man who wins the Busch Clash. He won a qualifier at Daytona last year, one of the Gatorade Twin races. This week, though, he just can't get out of his own way. Very simply, the car has just not been running. Jeff Gordon starts all the way back in 40th spot. Winston Kelly has trotted to the rear of the field to chat with Jeff.
Very unusual starting place, especially on a super speedway for Jeff Gordon. Jeff, you won the Busch Clash and, of course, had a lot of success at Daytona. Have Ray Abraham and the crew been able to figure out exactly what the problem is on this car?
Well, no, we haven't. We changed motors and we qualified. At least we qualified. I mean, we got into the race. Talladega's always been a tough place for us to qualify, but we seem to race pretty good. So just when you think you got it figured out, it seems to bite you. So we're not getting too cocky. We just think we're going to try to have a good, clean day and try to work our way up to the front as quick as we can.
How did the car draft in the last practice session yesterday?
Car drafted great. I really wasn't a car that could take command of a draft, but I could push some cars and I could draft with some cars right to the front of a pack. So I feel pretty good about it.
This is definitely a drafting track. Bobby Labonte, who starts 41st behind Gordon, started that same place last year, made it up into the top 10. Jeff Gordon believes the DuPont colors can do the same thing today.
Almost any driver will tell you their car can be 5 miles an hour slower, but if you can hang on to that draft, you can stay up there.
There were 49 cars here at Talladega to begin the week's activities. 7 drivers failed to qualify. Richie Petty, Jim Sauter, Rich Bickle, Jimmy Horton, Ronnie Sanders, Ward Burton, and Delma Cowart, all of those drivers failing to qualify. The 42 who are awaiting the green flag, 42nd, Kirk Shelmerdine, former Dale Earnhardt crew chief out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's driving the Jimmy Means Williams Racing Ford, his first Winston Cup start. 41st, Bobby Labonte of Corpus Christi, Texas. 40th, Jeff Gordon from Pittsboro, Indiana. 39th, Bobby Hamilton of Nashville, Tennessee. 38th starter, Dick Trickle from Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. Joe Nemechek out of Lakeland, Florida, starts 37th. 36th is John Andretti. He's from Indianapolis, Indiana. Out of Basalt, Colorado, Wally Dallenbach starts 35th. 34th is Jeff Burton from South Boston, Virginia. Ricky Rudd from Chesapeake, Virginia has his tied Ford in 33rd. 32nd, Jeff Purvis of Clarksville, Tennessee. And 31st, Derek Cope out of Spanaway, Washington.
Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia will be starting 30th. 29th, Jimmy Hensley of Ridgeway, Virginia. Brett Bodine of Chemung, New York is 28th on the field. 27th, Kyle Petty of Random, North Carolina. 26 is Hut Strickland of Calera, Alabama. Starting 25th, Rick Mast of Rockbridge, Bass, Virginia. 24th, Jeremy Mayfield of Nashville, Tennessee. The 23rd starter will be Jeff Bodine of Chemung, New York. Starting 22nd, Dave Marcus of Wausau, Wisconsin. And old Dave has hung in there pretty good all this year. He's had some great runs. He told me yesterday he thinks he can post a good finish here today. 21st will be Terry Labonte of Corpus Christi, Texas.
20th is Rusty Wallace from St. Louis, Missouri. His brother Mike Wallace, also from St. Louis, starts in 19th. 18th is Lake Speed of Jackson, Mississippi. And the 17th starter, Ted Musgrave of Franklin, Wisconsin. Out of Franklin, Tennessee, Darrell Waltrip starts 16th. 15th is Mark Martin of Batesville, Arkansas. Chuck Bown of Portland, Oregon, finished 7th at Martinsville last week. He'll go 14th today. 13th is Harry Gant of Taylorsville, North Carolina. 12th, Morgan Shepard from Conover, North Carolina. And local favorite Steve Grissom of Gadsden, Alabama, starts 11th.
And some very fast company up in that top 10. Sterling Marlin, Columbia, Tennessee, will be starting 10th. Dale Jarrett of Hickory, North Carolina, finally thinks they have their team turned around. Posted a 9th place qualifying run. 8th, Michael Waltrip of Owensboro, Kentucky. Another good qualifying run for him, and he expects to run well today. Kenny Schrader of Fenton, Missouri is 7th, another team that seems to have turned the corner in recent weeks. Greg Sachs, we heard from a moment ago from Mattatuck, New York, is 6th. Starting 5th, Jimmy Spencer of Berwick, Pennsylvania. The 4th starter, Dale Earnhardt out of Kannapolis, North Carolina. And starting 3rd is Todd Bodine of Chemung, New York. And on the front row, Loy Allen of Raleigh, North Carolina. And on the pole, Ernie Irvin of Modesto, California. And the separation between the field is probably about as close as we've seen it in a long, long time. 188 miles an hour plus for the 42nd starter and 193, so that's not much of a gap.
No, it isn't much of a gap at all, as qualifying has been so very close all season long. Right now, the command to be given to start engines here at Talladega as Pete Hamilton, Cale Yarborough, Bobby Allison, and Richard Brickhouse all lean in to give the command to fire the engines. And with that said, we're set to go racing. The Winston Select 500 is next.
NASCAR Today is produced by MRN Radio and sponsored by Goody's Headache Powders and Pain Relief Tablets, the official pain reliever of NASCAR.
Well, most of the pre-race activity has concluded. The drivers making their way down to their cars, climbing aboard, and we're not too far away, hopefully, from the start of the event here this afternoon from the Talladega Superspeedway. This is MRN Radio.
MRN Radio presents the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Today, the Winston Select 500.
Good afternoon once again, and welcome back to the Talladega Superspeedway. The cars have now fired on pit road and are beginning to pull onto the racetrack, and the indication is 2 laps before they put them under green here this afternoon as they swing around the high banks of Talladega for what may well be the most exciting race we've ever seen here.
I'll tell you, everybody's talking about the competitive race unlike what we've seen in the past, and we have seen record numbers of lead changes here at Talladega over the years. Glad you're with us along the lines. Nearly 400 stations across the country carrying our broadcast today, and today's broadcast of the Winston Select 500 is brought to you under exclusive radio rights granted by the Talladega Superspeedway to MRN Radio solely for the private, non-commercial use of our listening audience. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of the description and account of this race without the expressed written consent of NASCAR and MRN Radio is prohibited. You know, you asked the drivers in the garage area, Barney, whether they can tell how well they stack up today. I mean, last weekend, Rusty Wallace said to us, he said, I've got a good car. I know I can win. And I asked Rusty yesterday, I said, is there any way that you can be that confident on this Sunday?
Absolutely not.
And that, I think, is the word that Rusty says and every other driver shares. You know you're good. You just don't know quite how good and what the cards will be dealt to you on this Sunday afternoon.
And for some reason here at Talladega over the years, it is very seldom that the absolute fastest and best car does win. Circumstances always seem to come into play in those final laps, particularly with the Talladega finishes we're talking about earlier where you got 4 and 5 cars. You may come by here with a white flag with 1 lap to go and be leading that thing and be running in the lead, but when you come back, you can just as easily be 7th.
This has already been a strange weekend for some of the teams. The Billy Hagan team truck arrived very, very late on Friday. The truck had a wheel bearing burn up in the trailer. The rear brakes caught fire. They only got 5 laps of practice in before John Andretti was able to qualify for the event. Brett Bodine, he is now on his 4th engine of the weekend, also involved in a late practice accident here yesterday. They had to rebuild much of the right front suspension in that automobile, and other teams that you wouldn't normally figure would have problems have had them this week. We saw the 11 team, Bill Elliott's Ford, losing an engine in Friday morning practice. Bobby Hamilton's had transmission problems. Those little gremlins, Lake Speed, lost the transmission. Jeff Bodine blew the engine on his qualifying lap. Those gremlins have been here all week long. We'll have to see who can get through this next 2.5 to 3 hours without those little problems cropping up.
Let's hope we don't see any more of those. Field is down in the banking in turns 1 and 2, which lie to the south end of the speedway. They go in there at almost 195 miles an hour, and Joe Moore will be standing over there as turn 2 when they exit.
Thank you, Barney. Good afternoon, everyone. Spectacular view here as the cars climb to 33-degree banking. They can go in at 195 miles per hour because of that steep banking. There's plenty of racing room. They can go side by side or even 3 wide. And really what takes place in turns 1 and 2 is the drivers choose their drafting mates they'll work with once they come off turn 2 and hit this long back straightaway. The driver goes to the outside, the draft forms on the inside, then he's going backwards. Likewise, if he goes the other way, the draft forms on the other side of him. We'll follow all the action through turns 1 and 2 and onto this back straightaway here today.
And some of the most breathtaking moves are made in that back straightaway going up into turn number 3 in front of Alan Bestrick from Daytona Beach, Florida.
Thank you, Barney. Good afternoon, everyone. Positioned on the inside of the back straightaway right at the entrance to turn number 3. When those drivers choose up that line, Joe Moore referred to in turn number 2, usually takes them all the way to this end of the back straightaway before that plays itself out. They have to get back in line before they hit turn 3.
And turn 3 and 4 is where Fred Armstrong of Portland, Oregon is located. And remember, what happens in front of Fred won't play out until the start-finish line here all the way back to turn number 1. It changes the strategies a bit, Fred.
Thanks, Eli. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, those wild finishes here at Talladega all have to do with the drafting partnerships. They create themselves and dissolve. They're just like pie crusts. On the back straightaway, they're easily made. On down this front chute, they're easily broken. As the drivers come off turn number 4, they can fan out 4 wide, and it's any man's race at that point. This is a short straightaway. I'm just
just on the outside of it, just on the entrance of the tri-oval and the exit to turn number 4. We'll cover all the action out here in turn 4 today.
The Pontiac Firebird safety car, pristine white with blue piping. It is a limited edition Pontiac that is being piloted by Elmo Langley here today. And for the 22nd year, pacing the field in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, Elmo pulls the Pontiac down pit road. Green flag is in the air, and the Winston Select 500 is underway.
Down the line, on the brake, nobody will get out in clean air all by themselves. They'll go into the corner, door to door, heading for Joe Moore in turn 2.
That's the way they'll stay. Ernie Irvin down on the inside. Loy Allen right up alongside, coming side by side into turn 1, into turn 2. They begin to pick up a little bit of distance now in the second row. They're still stacked up double wide as well. Todd Bodine on the inside of Dale Earnhardt. Nobody gains an advantage. Still dead even off turn 2 and onto the back stretch.
They stay that way now all the way back through about the first 18 cars. Double wide. Darrell Waltrip makes a little move down to the inside, just breaking a little air between his car and Chuck Bound as they go to 3.
Loy Allen's machine up to the top of the banking, but here comes Ernie Irvin down to the bottom of the racetrack. His black Ford now drifts up to the end in the middle lane. Todd Bodine takes a peek there. Nothing doing. Ernie Irvin leads off turn number 4 on lap number 1.
Ernie Irvin, who won this event a year ago with that Robert Gates power plant behind him, he'll lead lap number 1. Todd Bodine moves into the second spot. Third is Loy Allen with the help of the drafting partner of Dale Earnhardt. They'll work to the outside. Lap 1 complete. The battle still side by side in 1.
Loy Allen and Todd Bodine, and from there on back, it's side by side. Up front, though, Ernie Irvin, he's picked up 2 car lengths on those side by side battles. Jimmy Spencer peeks to the inside of Todd Bodine. He can't get out of line. Back single file.
Ernie Irvin will split the middle of the back straightaway, so the inside and outside lines will form on either side of him. Now he moves up to the high side of the racetrack in front of Allen, then dives back towards the bottom.
Still a great battle for the second position. Todd Bodine down to the inside, and here comes Jimmy Spencer. 3 wide for the second position. Spencer gets the edge off turn number 4, still 3 wide down the short straightaway.
Jimmy Spencer beginning to scramble a little bit, and I was about to say a moment ago that is the cleanest start here at Talladega, I believe, I have ever seen. Nobody pulled out a line that first lap all the way around. Irvin by himself in front. Spencer scrambles for second place with Loy Allen back in turn 1.
Todd Bodine back in the 4th spot, looks for a chance to move to the inside of Jimmy Spencer. He'll think better of it and get back in line. Now Loy Allen gets a fender out in front of Spencer. This is the battle for second. They draw even again. Side by side off turn 2.
Back for around the 10th spot. They're 3 wide. Michael Waltrip caught in the middle between Dale Jarrett and the outside line of cars. Meantime, Ernie Irvin and Loy Allen cleanly out in front. Spencer battles with Earnhardt for 3rd.
Earnhardt up to the top of the banking. Jimmy Spencer's red machine down low. The 2 cars still side by side, stacked up double wide, about 10 rows back behind. Todd Bodine thinking about making 3 wide for 3rd as they come off turn number 4.
Near the back of the field, Jeff Gordon has picked up 13 positions here on the start. So his car starting 40th, now climbing its way through the pack. Irvin leads, Loy Allen second. The battle, Earnhardt for 3rd by inches over Spencer to his inside.
Spencer drives in deep going into turn 1. He's got a fender out in front of Earnhardt. Earnhardt struggles to stay up alongside. Meanwhile, behind them, Todd Bodine looks to the inside of Jimmy Spencer. He'll think better and fall back in line single file.
Double wide for the front 2, now the front 3. Spencer leading that inside line of cars, trying to stay up alongside Dale Earnhardt for 3rd. Down the back straightaway, Earnhardt being pushed along by Greg Sachs as they hit the banking.
That'll give him the edge, and as they climb the banking of turn number 3, Earnhardt to the top of the banking, now making the bid for second. Loy Allen Jr. on the inside, Dale Earnhardt on the high side. Earnhardt with the edge off turn 4.
Give a call to Loy Allen. He told me this weekend, he said, I've been on the pole and I've went back in the pack once they dropped the flag. He said, I think I have enough experience now if the car's comfortable. I'm going to stay up there as long as I can. He now slides back to 4th place. In fact, they're passing him on the inside and the outside. Jimmy Spencer gets underneath him in turn 1.
And Greg Sachs went to the outside lane, bringing along Sterling Marlin and Morgan Shepherd. Allen right in the middle of the racetrack, and they're filing by on the outside and inside. He's fallen back to about the 10th position. Earnhardt makes a challenge for the lead.
Dives for the bottom of the racetrack off of turn number 2. Draws up alongside. Ernie Irvin's got no drafting help behind him, though. Irvin gets a push from Greg Sachs on the outside and holds on to the top spot.
Sachs will get the second position now. Sterling Marlin and Dale Earnhardt in a side-by-side duel for 3rd. Here comes Jimmy Spencer to the inside. Dale Earnhardt shuts the inside lane down, and in a side-by-side duel he goes off turn 4 for 3rd.
But all the while, Greg Sachs is now snuck in right behind Ernie Irvin. He'll hold down the second spot. Sterling Marlin 3rd. Earnhardt runs in fourth, right in the middle of the track, with it going double wide behind him. Morgan Shepherd to the outside wall. Spencer to his inside, back to turn one, lap number 6.
That's the battle for the 5th position with Todd Bodine looking to move around on the outside now. He's pulling up on the outside of the Jimmy Spencer car now that Morgan Shepherd clears him. Front 4 now, single file on the back straightaway.
Well, still Jimmy Spencer holding down that inside line, trying to pick up some drafting help from Darrell Waltrip. Now he'll squeeze up in line between Todd Bodine and Lake Speed, fall his way back into the 7th spot.
About the front 8 cars now, all single file. Everybody tucks down to the bottom of the racetrack. Darrell Waltrip working the low side of the racetrack inside Dale Jarrett. The first side-by-side battle back for the 10th position. But up front, 9 cars, single file, back to start-finish.
I've been coming to Talladega since the first race here in '69. I don't think I have ever seen this. Already we're putting 6 laps on the board, and the entire field is still in that draft. There's less than 3 seconds from the tail end of the field to the leader as they sweep back to turn 2.
First battle will be for the 9th position. Jarrett on the outside of Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip tries to sneak up and make his move down to the inside lane of the racetrack. Steve Grissom will follow his line down low. No one gets the edge, though, as they exit turn 2.
That side-by-side racing for 9th has allowed the front 8 who are running single file to open up about 7 or 8 car lengths distance now. As Jarrett finally gets by Chuck Bound, Darrell Waltrip slides back.
They'll drop into line there, but up front, the front 8 cars, all single file now to the inside of the racetrack. Sterling Marlin now slips up a lane. Earnhardt looks to the inside. Nothing doing there. Back to single file off the 4th turn.
The front 7 cars trying to break away if they can. They're tied tightly together. They've got about 5 car lengths on the next car in line. Here Earnhardt now swings wide through the tri-oval area. He's to 4th spot. 5th place has Todd Bodine inside of Morgan Shepherd back to 1.
Bodine will make his move using the inside lane, getting by Shepherd. He'll open the door for Spencer as well. Spencer now up alongside Morgan Shepherd. He'll clear that car and move by to fall back in line single file. All the while, Irvin leads with Sachs in 2nd.
Shepherd falls back now to 8th, and that side-by-side racing has allowed Lake Speed and Dale Jarrett in 9th and 10th to close up. 11th is Chuck Bound. Ken Schrader runs 12th. Mark Martin is 13th.
Everybody tightens up in the front 7 cars now as they draft together to the inside of the racetrack. Nobody stepping out of line. Jimmy Spencer trying to gain up to that front draft. Still about 2 car lengths in arrears as they race off turn 4. Ernie Irvin in the black Ford heads back to start-finish.
Field beginning to string out just a little bit now from the front to the back. There are 7 cars up in the lead draft, maybe another 11 back in the second draft, and from there on back, everyone still out on the racetrack is running in a tight pack going back to turn number 1.
Here at Talladega Superspeedway, 10 laps on the board, 188 laps making up the distance today. Ernie Irvin and Greg Sachs, Sterling Marlin, Dale Earnhardt, Todd Bodine, and Jimmy Spencer, the front pack. Now it's Earnhardt who tucks out of line. He'll draw even with Marlin, and he'll try and grab a spot going back up the banking in turn 1.
Earnhardt makes the pass on Marlin, moving him up to 3rd. Todd Bodine comes along with him. He'll pick up the 4th spot, and Jimmy Spencer tries to do likewise. Marlin struggles, meanwhile, trying to get back in line.
As they enter the back straightaway, all those cars in front of the Spencer and Marlin side-by-side race move up to the outside line of cars. That leaves the both of them without a drafting partner, and they're going to fall back.
Sterling Marlin will tuck down to the inside of the racetrack. He and Spencer now make it about 5 or 10 car lengths in arrears as they go through the apex of the turn. Here the front 4 now come off turn number 4. Irvin shows the way.
Boy, this field beginning to break up in a hurry just a moment ago from nose to tail all the way back to 42nd position, about 3 seconds. Now it has stretched out the entire length of the front straightaway. Irvin's the leader. Sachs rides 2nd. Earnhardt's 3rd. Todd Bodine is 4th, and Spencer is 5th. But the real scramble is on for 6th position over toward turn 2.
That's where Sterling Marlin works the inside lane on Lake Speed. Speed's got some drafting help with the former Ken Schrader, and now Mark Martin pulling up behind them in the outside lane. Sterling tries to force the issue, tries to get back in line, but again, he's left out.
Goes from racing for 4th spot now to be racing for 9th and 10th as he continues to drift backwards. Now he'll fall in line behind Mark Martin and in front of Dale Jarrett at the tail end of that group.
Meanwhile, the front 4 cars have moved out to about 10 car lengths as they shuffle to the inside lane in turns 3 and 4. Ernie Irvin with Greg Sachs right behind. Dale Earnhardt and Todd Bodine tuck it up nose to tail off the 4th turn.
And Jim Phillips, this breakaway was not without its close moments for Dale Earnhardt.
He made a save a while ago, Eli. He was tagged in the rear by Greg Sachs. Of course, it was not intentional, real close racing. The Earnhardt car went sideways about the Talladega side right in front of me, and he saved it. And how he did, I don't know.
Some great three-way scrambles. Back at 22nd spot, John Andretti is there. Brett Bodine is there. They scramble up the banking.
John Andretti trying to get by, making his move, coming to the inside of the track. That battle will go away. Meanwhile, Darrell Waltrip losing touch with the rest of the field. He was up in the top 10 a while back. Now he's dropped back to about 40th.
Waltrip got put in a sandwich 3 wide a while ago. Had to come out of the throttle up in turn number 3. When you have to come out of the throttle on one of these restricted engines, it takes you almost a lap and a half to get it wound back up.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Spencer and Morgan Shepherd have hooked up a bit. Now Spencer will tuck into the back of that front car draft. It's 5 cars now, nose to tail, make it 6. Here comes Shepherd.
And in just a moment, there's going to be about a dozen up in that lead draft as they come back down to the line. The second draft is chasing down the front 5, led by Morgan Shepherd and Lake Speed as they close it in even tighter down in turn 2.
They're keeping it single file, also drafting help there by the Ken Schrader car. Now Speed drops out of line. He'll look to the inside of Morgan Shepherd for a moment, gets back in line. It's Schrader who'll take the outside lane. He'll try to form a draft with Mark Martin, Sterling Marlin, and Dale Jarrett.
Lake Speed forced to stay down the bottom side of the racetrack on the backstretch, so Schrader draws up alongside. They'll race for the 7th spot. Schrader gets 7th. Mark Martin goes by Speed for 8th. Sterling Marlin goes by Speed for 9th.
Lake Speed going backwards in a big hurry now. He drifts up to the top of the banking. Dale Jarrett caught up, was going to dive to the inside of Speed, but Speed shut down the inside lane. Those 2 cars almost touching in turn 4.
But nevertheless, they do stay pointed in the right direction. They'll make up that 12-car lead draft as they come through the trial area. Then there's a gap of about a half second to the battle between Rusty Wallace, along with Chuck Bound, Terry Labonte, and now Jeff Gordon, who's all the way up to 15th spot. That's their own private battle in turn 1.
Rusty Wallace opens the door. Terry Labonte will come through. Bound tries to bring it down before Jeff Gordon comes along, but not in time. Here comes Gordon with the DuPont colors. He'll move to the inside also and bypass the Chuck Bound car.
Those cars now fall out single file as they come onto the back straightaway. Todd Bodine thought of looking inside of Dale Earnhardt for the 3rd spot for just a minute on the backstretch. He goes back in line.
Likewise, Greg Sachs sliding up the banking just a little bit. Earnhardt taking a peek inside there. Now Earnhardt moves up the banking, make it maybe half a lane. Bodine takes a look but says no way. Tucks back in line. Here they come off turn 4.
11 cars nose to tail in that lead draft, and Dale Earnhardt told me yesterday we're talking about a draft like that, 10 and 12 cars in it. He says he doesn't like to be back in the pack.
Oh, really? Not that comfortable. For me, you're depending on everybody in front of you, and if there's trouble, you don't really see trouble. It just pops up in front of you pretty quick. So I'd rather be up in the first 2, 2 cars, 3 cars, and where you can sort of see what's going on in front of you and around you.
He can see right now, Alan Bestwick, he has just moved up to 2nd place.
The only car he can see now is Ernie Irvin's right in front of him. Morgan Shepherd got shuffled out of line just a minute ago in that lead draft. He's gone all the way back to the end of it.
Jimmy Spencer also gaining about 4 positions as they shuffle down the back straightaway and pick their drafting partners. He picked the right one as he tucked in behind Dale Earnhardt. He'll ride 3rd off the 4th turn.
Here they come through the tri-oval area. Ernie Irvin has led the first 16 laps. Same car in which he led 84 laps at Daytona. Dale Earnhardt in 2nd spot. Earnhardt ran 45 laps at the point down at the Daytona 500, and now Jimmy Spencer in 3rd. He finished 2nd here a year ago. They're back to the corner.
Those cars are single file. Todd Bodine, the one getting shuffled out now. He tried to make a move along with Earnhardt and Spencer, moving to the inside on that last lap here off turn 2. It's lost him out of line. He's gone all the way to the tail end of the draft.
9 cars now in the lead draft as they work their way down the backstretch. Here's a bid for the lead. Earnhardt drops down to the inside. Jimmy Spencer will try and help push him along underneath Irvin in 3.
Ford Chevy duel for the lead. 2 black machines side by side. Irvin shuffled up the banking. He's all alone. Spencer down to the bottom of the racetrack. Earnhardt leads. Spencer is 2nd. Back in line goes Ernie Irvin. He's 3rd.
And we are under caution for possibly something to happen up in turn 4.
Well, it looks like Jeff Bodine got caught out of line, went up to the top of the banking, held onto the race car, but rode the rim of the outside of the 4th corner. And as he came by my position, it looks like some pretty heavy damage to the right side of Bodine's car. At least it's going to be a tire change down on pit road.
He has taken the car behind the pit wall. We'll follow up on that in just a moment.
Under caution here at the Talladega Superspeedway as Jeff Bodine had problems with the XI batteries machine up in the wall. Let's go to the garage area. David Hyatt checking on the story.
Jeff Bodine started 23rd this afternoon, moving up through the pack, but wound up coming up a little short. Jeff, what happened?
Well, it looks like we ran over something. Blew a right front tire. Going through 3 and 4, I was up pretty high, and the tire's gone here at the right front. It just kind of, I felt it go down, so that kind of indication that you run over something that went flat and then came apart. And banged the wall pretty good. It took a heck of a shot, but I'm okay. Heck, we're pretty tough. We're going to try to fix it. Actually, we might be able to get back out there.
Crew already feverishly going to work. The full right side of the car is bashed in, making it completely flat, and the right front is torn up pretty badly. When it goes back out, it's certainly not going to have any aerodynamic help.
Boy, not been a good week here at Talladega for Jeff Bodine or Brett, either one. Now here comes the entire field onto pit road. It's just about don't see anybody behind the caution car. That's the first time that's happened here in a long time also, as the entire field is going to be coming into the pits. Let's go down to pit road.
Dale Earnhardt leads the parade in. He comes into his pit stall. Right behind him is Jimmy Spencer. Here comes Ernie Irvin as Morgan Shepherd flashes by. Terry Labonte, Jeff Gordon, John Andretti, Derek Cope, Wally Dallenbach, and Dick Trickle, along with Brett Bodine, all coming in. It's going to be a two-tire stop for Earnhardt and for Irvin and for Jimmy Spencer.
Winston Kelly.
2 tires for everybody on this end of pit road. A close call for Rusty Wallace as he gets tagged by Jimmy Hensley coming into pit road. Michael Waltrip, Chuck Bound, Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace. Mike Wallace now in getting 2 tires, along with Kyle Petty. Greg Sachs was in, along with Dale Jarrett, Loy Allen, Ken Schrader, and Todd Bodine getting 2 tires and gasoline.
We'll also get an update from the Morgan Shepherd pit here in just a second. He came off the pit lane after what appeared to be a routine stop. He went about 40 or 50 yards, and then the car just stopped on the racetrack. Everybody went by, but now Morgan has resumed again. But that little stoppage cost him about 15 or 16 positions as everybody else came streaming off the pit road. But, Barney, I think you're right. I don't believe I have ever seen no cars on the racetrack except Elmo Langley driving that Pontiac safety car.
A pace car came across, and there was not a single car out there, even anywhere on the racetrack, only the pace car. Don't see that very often. The race off pit road won just a moment ago by Dale Earnhardt. Todd Bodine's crew did a good job on him to get him out second. Coming off third was Greg Sachs. Looked like getting back onto the racetrack fourth in the running order after that round of pit stops would have been Jimmy Spencer and then Ernie Irvin.
The field will get the 1-to-go signal when they come to the stripe this time by. Quickly, let's get an update from the Wood Brothers pit area. Jim Phillips, what was the problem there with Morgan when he came out of the pits?
As is the case, Eli, where the driver let the engine die. Couldn't get it started. Took a while, but now he's okay.
So Morgan Shepherd back on the racetrack, ready to go. Well, time to pack up the suitcases, Barney, because over the next number of weeks, these MRN microphones will be hopscotching back and forth across the country, and we hope you folks can make those trips with us. Next Saturday, we'll be with you from the beautiful New Hampshire International Speedway. The Winston Cup cars are off, but the NASCAR Busch Series is in action next weekend, and we'll be in New Hampshire for the Chevy Dealers 250. You'll hear it at 1 o'clock Eastern Time here on MRN Radio. The week's activity in New Hampshire begins on Thursday evening with the NASCAR Busch North versus Busch Grand National softball game. Friday, Busch Pole qualifying with an autograph session after the activities at the track are done. Ticket office is open right now if you'd like to call them and make your plans for next weekend's Busch Series action. All of the Busch cars will be there, plus a number of Winston Cup drivers, a lengthy list. Dale Earnhardt will be there, Ernie Irvin, Ken Schrader, Terry Labonte, Bobby Labonte, the list goes on. So hope to see you in New Hampshire next weekend. Then in 2 weeks from today, we'll be in the beautiful wine country of Northern California. We'll be in Sonoma for the Save Mart 300, first visit to the road course for 1994. That's May the 15th. May 21st, the Winston Select. That's NASCAR's All-Star race in Charlotte, North Carolina. May 29th, the Coke 600 in Charlotte. June the 5th, we'll have the Budweiser 500 from Dover Downs International Speedway. In the month of June, we'll also head to Pocono, Pennsylvania for the UAW GM Teamwork 500. Then on June the 19th, the Miller 400 from Brooklyn, Michigan, before the season's first half wraps up in Daytona Beach for the Pepsi 400 on Saturday, July the 2nd. And the ticket offices at most, if not all of those tracks, are open right up to their event. But next weekend, on to New Hampshire. And I understand the Lobsters are already hiding in the corner, trying to avoid the onslaught that we will bring with us.
Eli, quick update from pit road. Neither the second or third place driver, Todd Bodine's team, nor Greg Sachs' team changed tires. They just got gasoline, returned to the racetrack, the reason for their quick pit stops.
And also Harry Gant is coming back in now for a third time. The driver is complaining of fumes, gas fumes, coming up in the cockpit of the race car. They're going to bring him back in, go into the hood, and see if they can find anywhere they may have a gas leak.
Pace car is pulled off the speedway and onto pit road, and we're getting set to go back to green flag racing. It'll be a single file restart with Dale Earnhardt and Todd Bodine leading the way as they come down to the line. Greg Sachs is third in the running order. Right behind him comes Jimmy Spencer, Ernie Irvin, and Mark Martin. Green flag goes in the air, and they get down to it once again. Sachs takes a look on the outside for second place on Todd Bodine going over toward turn 2.
Sachs was not able to make his move as Todd Bodine gets right up on the rear deck now of the race leader, Dale Earnhardt. It's Earnhardt, Bodine, then Sachs. Jimmy Spencer next in line, and about 5 car lengths back to Ernie Irvin. He rides along with Mark Martin and Ken Schrader. They've got a big jump on the rest of the field as they exit turn 2.
Things a little bit strung out now as cars try and draft up along and tighten up as they get wound up to full speed down the back straightaway. Nobody stepping out of line all the way back to about the 30th spot where Michael Waltrip and Derek Cope race side by side.
The black Chevrolet of Dale Earnhardt shows the way. 5 Fords trying to chase him down in turns 3 and 4. No one can do it. He tucks it right down to the bottom of the racetrack. Todd Bodine takes a peek to the outside. inside, but stays in line off turn 4.
The man caught out of line right now is Sterling Marlin. He'll try and work his way back in line and does, roughly at 12th to 13th position. Just finds an opening ahead of Terry Labonte there. Middle of the pack, Michael Waltrip is hooked up together with Ted Musgrave and Morgan Shepherd. Those cars positioned back at 23rd, 24th, and 25th, forming their own draft to the inside groove, trying to climb to the front.
Waltrip dives down to the inside of the Andretti car. Ted Musgrave and Morgan Shepherd fall in to help. Closer to the front, meanwhile, Sterling Marlin on the move down to the inside of Wally Dallenbach.
This is for the 10th position as they come down the back straightaway. Here's the challenge for third. Jimmy Spencer and Ernie Irvin drop down to the inside. They'll try and draft underneath Greg Sachs.
Those two cars hook up in a draft to the inside of the racetrack, but the top two now slide down, now back up the banking, so Spencer gets to the inside of Greg Sachs, gives Spencer third, but Sachs battles back on the outside.
5-car breakaway on the rest of the field as they come through the dogleg and head back down to the start-finish line. Jimmy Spencer down to the bottom of the racetrack, nobody to draft with, but he isn't losing any ground. In fact, he's going to gain a little bit, or he looked like he might scoot up into third. He is still caught to the inside of the racetrack all by himself in turn 2.
Sachs has a fender out in front of Spencer going into turn 1, but now Spencer pulls even right to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll blow by Greg Sachs and open up that lane. Let's see if Irvin is able to move up to the outside. He'll fall in line behind Sachs.
Now Earnhardt and Todd Bodine dive for the bottom of the back straightaway. That's going to help Spencer for just a minute. Here's Sachs moving down to the inside. They're 3 wide for fourth. Spencer inside of Sachs, inside of Irvin. Sachs will have to back out.
Jimmy Spencer with the edge now as Greg Sachs begins to slide backwards. Nobody goes with Sachs to the inside, to the outside. Cars beginning to shuffle by, but now Sachs battles back. He's in a duel for the 6th position.
It's a 3-way battle right there. Lake Speed works the inside of that trio. Kenny Schrader alongside. And how about Wally Dallenbach? Had to struggle to get that STP Pontiac in the field here yesterday. The whole team got the car up to speed. They've run well. They're in the lead draft. And Todd Bodine going to the inside of Dale Earnhardt here at the start-finish line. He becomes the 3rd leader of the Winston Select 500. Oh, you talk about flexing some muscles. Ernie Irvin just goes powering by as he leaves Dale Earnhardt and Todd Bodine behind by about 5 car lengths. Irvin found an opening coming through turn number 4 and just muscled his way past all that 2x2 dueling and now pulls away by 5 car lengths on 2nd place in turn 2.
2nd place, a good battle. Spencer looks to the inside of Bodine, but he'll fall back in behind him.
Todd Bodine leads the inside line of cars. Dale Earnhardt leads the outside line of cars. They've all got drafting help, and they're all about 7 car lengths behind Ernie Irvin.
Even as they come into turn number 3, they'll climb the banking, and now Todd Bodine drifts back just a bit, but here he'll battle back on the inside. Jimmy Spencer hooks up behind Bodine. The 2 Fords race it out. Dale Earnhardt still was 2nd, but make it inches off turn 4.
Gotta have a drafting partner to do any business in this event here this afternoon. But Earnhardt's going to make a liar out of me on that as he dropped down to the inside and just moved around Irvin, but he does have some help this time with Greg Sachs and Todd Bodine as the inside line takes over this time over in turn 2.
Earnhardt gets by, but Sachs still to clear the Ernie Irvin car. He's racing up in the outside lane. Here's Jimmy Spencer now. He'll pull up behind the Ernie Irvin car. Sachs has a nose out in front in the battle for 2nd. Right behind him is Bodine.
About 20 cars all bunched together in this lead draft now, and the rest of the field not that far behind either. Still the race for 2nd. Sachs inside of Irvin, right on Earnhardt's back bumper as they go to the corner.
Sachs's white machine tucks right down to the inside of the racetrack. Ernie Irvin now caught out of line to the high side. Jimmy Spencer about 2 car lengths behind. Here's Todd Bodine taking a peek to the inside, thinking about making it 3 wide off the corner. He'll tuck back in. Still a side-by-side battle for 2nd.
Dale Earnhardt has the lead by about a car length. Here comes Greg Sachs now, splitting away from that inside groove. He'll come up to the midline. He'll challenge for the lead. He won't get there, but Sachs hangs on to 2nd. Ernie Irvin tucks in behind Earnhardt. Bodine tucks in behind Sachs.
Now here's Sachs diving to the inside of Earnhardt. This is for the lead. He'll make the pass going into turn 1. Earnhardt feels a challenge now from Todd Bodine. He's got the inside line. Drafting help behind him from Dick Trickle. It's Greg Sachs leading off turn 2.
Double wide down the back straightaway behind leader Greg Sachs. Now some shuffling going on as Rusty Wallace breaks out of line. He'll go down to the inside of Jimmy Spencer. Spencer and Trickle will move up into the outside line.
Rusty Wallace now moving back a couple of car lengths. Now he'll pick up drafting help. Ken Schrader is there. The top lane drifting backwards. The inside lane moving up a car length. Here's Greg Sachs off turn 4. He leads back to start finish.
Absolutely unbelievable racing here at Talladega this afternoon. It has been thrilling since the start, but it's scary also in the fact that there's about 28 cars up in that lead draft, meaning that if anything goes wrong anywhere in the pack, it's going to be like a bunch of ping pongs and balls in a bucket bouncing around here should they have any problems. They go back to turn 2.
Ernie Irvin now the man on the move. He dove to the inside of Dale Earnhardt, picked up the spot there. Irvin going after the lead now. He dives to the inside of Greg Sachs off 2.
Drafting help from Todd Bodine right behind Irvin. Sachs has drafting help from Earnhardt. Irvin grabs the lead, now moves up in front of the outside line. Back in 7th spot, here's Wally Dallenbach on the move. He goes to the inside of Rusty Wallace.
Dallenbach moves up 1 car length. Now to the inside is Schrader. Battle there for the 6th position. Up front in that lane, Todd Bodine. He's side by side with Spencer for 4th. Meanwhile, Irvin leads back to start finish. Sachs tucks back in line.
Jeff Bodine is in the garage. 4 cars are running by themselves on the racetrack. Everybody else is in this one pack of traffic. Ernie Irvin has made the move around Greg Sachs. Irvin reassumes the lead here at lap number 33, going back across the stripe into 1. Sachs will settle for the high side with drafting help from Earnhardt, maybe.
Earnhardt's going to break out of line. No drafting help there. He dives to the inside of Sachs. He'll challenge for the 2nd spot and look for drafting help from Todd Bodine.
Earnhardt will grab 2nd. He'll slide up into the outside line between Irvin and Sachs. Bodine is going to be left to battle for about the 6th spot with Ken Schrader as Dick Trickle goes on by him now on the outside.
Trickle swings up to the top of the banking. Meanwhile, the top 4 cars now single file. They'll settle into the inside of the racetrack. First battle on the racetrack is going to be for the 5th position. Todd Bodine on the inside, Ken Schrader on the outside.
And it's been that way since they put him under green this afternoon through the dog leg. We've seen him running 4 deep on a couple of times when they come around here. Great job by Wally Dallenbach this afternoon on the STP machine. He continues to hang up there in the top 6 or 8. He's got his hands full this time, however, at the bottom of the racetrack back in turn 2.
Got 2 cars on his outside, 1 right behind him. It's Ken Schrader and Todd Bodine. They drift up the banking. Wally opens up the lane down on the inside, gets some help from fellow Pontiac driver Michael Waltrip. They'll clear those cars off turn 2.
3 wide right behind him. Sterling Marlin to the inside of Todd Bodine, to the inside of Ken Schrader. This will be for about the 8th spot now as they rumble down the back straightaway. Marlin and Schrader will leave Bodine in the middle.
Marlin sticks his yellow Chevrolet right down to the middle of the racetrack. That 3-way battle evaporates, but behind another one develops as Lake Speed looks to the inside of Todd Bodine. Now that slips back to 2x2. Meanwhile, the front 5 stays single file.
Lake Speed needs to find some help right now. He made that move to the inside. Nobody went with him. Mark Martin made some motions as though to help. Lake finds an opening. He'll get right back in behind Spencer if he can, but he can't as Jeff Gordon closes that spot. Ernie Irvin continues to lead.
36 laps are complete. Ernie Irvin leads Dale Earnhardt and Greg Sachs, the top 3 from the Talladega Superspeedway. This is MRN Radio.
Ernie Irvin leads. Dale Earnhardt 2nd. Greg Sachs is 3rd. Dick Trickle is 4th. Wally Dallenbach 5th. Then Michael Waltrip, Todd Bodine, Ken Schrader, Jeff Gordon, and Sterling Marlin. Your top 10 here at Talladega, Alabama. Welcome back, everyone. The Winston Select 500. Now 38 laps complete. And yes, you heard that rundown correctly. Dick Trickle has brought the Active Motorsports car all the way up to 4th place after starting way back in the field. Let's get an update from the pit stall there where they started 38th and are now running 4th. Jim?
Well, Mike Hillman, a great start for you. Started 38 up in the top 5.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dick Trickle's driving his butt off out there. When we pitted last time, we just got gas to go. The tires that Goodyear gave us are just tremendous. The Active Motorsports Chevrolet is really running great. Richard Childress Racing's gave us a heck of a motor to run with today, and hopefully we can keep him there all day long.
How about the pit crew? Can they get him in and out like you need to have today?
Well, I'll tell you, this is a young team, and we've really worked hard to bring this whole deal together. I mean, we put in some tremendous hours, 7 days a week since December, and we practice every day we're home. We practice pit stops, and we're going to give it our best shot, you know. That's all we can do, Jim.
That's Mike Hillman, the crew chief for Dick Trickle, who's having a great run to start with.
And a lot of times when a car comes up through there and gets up in that top 4 or 5, it'll pump that crew up and they'll turn in a tremendous performance sometimes.
And they mentioned they have a Richard Childress power plant in that car. That's not unusual to see, particularly at these big tracks. Dave Marcus, for instance, is driving the Rick Hendrick Motorsports Research and Development car here today. It's a white car with blue trims. Been a long time since Dave Marcus has driven a white-colored car on an oval. He has driven a white and blue machine on road courses out west, but he said this is something new, but he's doing some work for the Hendrick team. That's not unusual on the super speedways. 40 laps are down, 148 remain as the lead cars work up on traffic in turn 2.
Front 7 cars remain basically the same from there on back. There's been quite a bit of shuffling going on. It started with Ken Schrader opened up the inside lane on Michael Waltrip. He's now picked up the 8th position with Todd Bodine behind him.
Todd Bodine is caught down to the inside. Schrader and Terry Labonte and also Jimmy Spencer are going to go by now as Bodine loses all of his drafting help.
They've got some lap traffic ahead. Todd Bodine now shuffling backwards, tries to take a look to the inside of Mark Martin there. Martin gets an edge out in front. Todd Bodine still still caught out of line. Now he'll slip back into single file off turn 4.
Can't afford to stay out there by yourself very long. If you don't ride up in that draft, you're going to lose an awful lot of spaces. It is Ernie Irvan at the front of the pack. Right behind him is Dale Earnhardt. I talked a little bit with Dale the other day. Remember when we came here a few years ago and they came up with the restrictor plates and everybody said it's going to ruin racing and whatever? And I asked Dale, I said, some of the best racing we see seems to be with the restrictor plates now.
Well, it has, I think, and they're working on everybody to stay a little smoother in the grass and stuff, and the troubles hopefully won't be as bad as it's been, and that comes from close racing. So, you know, restrictor plate racing's here, and you're going to have to put up with it and race and do with it, so that's, do the best you can with it.
Well, he's doing real good with it right now, and some of the best races we have seen have been restrictor plate races in the last couple of years, particularly here at Daytona and Talladega. At the front of the field, 3-car breakaway right now, then a single car. That's Dick Trickle back there in 4th. Jeff Gordon up to 5th. 6 is Jimmy Spencer. From Jimmy Spencer on back, 7th is a real dogfight back there. Kenny Schrader's beginning to move up. He's had some good runs here in recent weeks, but he's got his hands full now in front of Joe Moore.
Schrader down on the inside of Dallenbach, and right behind him, Sterling Marlin and Terry Labonte also going double wide. That's where the shuffle is beginning, coming back into turn 2. Jimmy Spencer just ahead of Schrader. He'll break out a line and make the move.
Race will be for the 8th spot now as Spencer slides in line in 7th. 8th is side by side, Dallenbach and Ken Schrader. Schrader is on the inside, Dallenbach is on the outside.
Schrader's green and white Chevrolet has the edge on the entrance of turn number 3, but Dallenbach battles back on the outside in his Pontiac. Now Schrader gets a nose out in front. Still side by side, seesawing for position off turn 4.
Kind of looks like the old days. The STP Pontiac using that outside groove to get around Talladega. Now it's Wally Dallenbach doing just that, running up in the top 7. Jim Phillips.
We're in the Dallenbach pit. Car owner Richard Petty is here. Richard, you started way back, but you moved up, doing pretty good right now.
Well, yeah, they made a pretty good pit stop. Didn't get enough of gas. Put him up about 10th, and he worked his way back up to 5th, and now he's on the way back because they all got lined up. So nobody can do anything. Everybody's just running wide open and taking the draft as it comes, and that's where they wind up sitting.
Been giving him any pointers today?
Not really. He's doing everything on his own. We give him a pretty good car, we think, and turned him loose from there.
That's Richard Petty, of course, the car owner for Wally Dallenbach.
Wally's doing a good job here this afternoon. Must be an awesome feeling. You've talked to the drivers like I have over the years that say at Talladega you just simply push the throttle wide open, and unless there's an accident or something, you never take your foot off it. I just can't imagine that, running the thing wide open around this racetrack just as hard as you can go with 40 cars out there trying to get through traffic like on a freeway.
They also try and tell you that unless you get into trouble, you don't quite have the sensation of speed. Believe it or not, they'll say that there are other tracks where you feel the speed far more than you do here at Talladega or at Daytona, because everybody else is going with you at basically the same speed. You don't look at the grandstands as they go by, and I've driven here with Elmo Langley at about 110, 120 miles an hour. That's all. And then you'd swear you were going 45 or 50. It's very strange how the track even flattens out when you're running up at high speed. You don't have a sensation of running 5 stories in the air on those 33-degree banking.
No, I've been around here at about 180 miles an hour some 10 or 12 years ago, and the sensation of speed is there, but not like it would be at a Darlington or someplace like that where those corners are coming up real quick. Here, the racetrack is so big, over 2.5 miles around it. You look when you come by the start-finish line, or actually in the dog leg, and you see turn 1, and you think, well, are we going to make this thing? And all of a sudden, you're all the way over to turn 2. That's how quick you get around here.
Working the 48th lap here at the Talladega Superspeedway as the battle for the lead, a good one. Dale Earnhardt grabs it away from Ernie Irvan, who runs in the 2nd spot. Ken Schrader on the move now. He'll challenge Jeff Gordon for 3rd and 4th. Sterling Marlin runs in the 5th spot. Greg Sachs is 6th. Dick Trickle 7th. 8th place now as they work is Ricky Rudd. 9th, Jimmy Spencer and Todd Bodine 10th. 11th is Jeff Burton. Wally Dallenbach is 12th. 13th position, Terry Labonte with Lake Speed 14th. And 15th, Mark Martin. 16th is Michael Waltrip. Bobby Hamilton runs 17th. 18th is Derek Cope. Steve Grissom 19th. And 20th is Morgan Shepherd. All of these cars on the lead lap. 21st, John Andretti. 22nd, Dave Marcus. 23rd, Dale Jarrett. Bobby Labonte runs in the 24th spot. 25th now, Ted Musgrave. Rusty Wallace is 26th. 27th, Brett Bodine. Jimmy Hensley is 28th. Bill Elliott 29th. And 30th spot now as they work up the banking in the turn is Jeff Purvis. This mid-race update sponsored by Sports Image, the officially licensed supplier of Dale Earnhardt, Richard Childress Racing, and GM Goodwrench Racing Souvenirs. And by the way, look for the new Dr. Dale's suntan lotion. and Dr. Dale's cooling lotion, now available from Sports Image, because summer's here, and Dr. Dale's suntan lotion will protect your skin from harmful rays and burning. Dr. Dale's suntan lotion, and soon Dr. Dale apparel, available from Sports Image. Just call 1-800-342-7612 for a free color catalog from Sports Image.
Well, Dr. Dale just got burned going through the corner over there as Sterling Marlin took the lead away from him. They're back in turn 2.
Marlin showed a lot of strength there, Barney. Dove to the inside of the track. He got by Ken Schrader first, who was running in the second spot. Thought he was going to fall back in line behind Earnhardt, but he just broke down all alone, made the pass, and now he's in danger of losing a spot.
Jeff Gordon dives down to the inside, picks up some drafting help. They'll go 2 by 2 down the back straightaway. Terry Labonte and Ernie Irvin are behind Gordon, but Earnhardt and Sterling Marlin break away.
Now Gordon begins to drift backwards. He'll run alongside Ken Schrader. Schrader to the high side, Gordon on the inside. All this side-by-side racing behind has allowed the front 2 cars to pull away. Sterling Marlin leads. Dale Earnhardt is second.
They'll work through the tri-oval in that order right now. 50 laps on the board. The colors are changing at the front so rapidly you'd think it was a chameleon up there. Now it's the orange colors of Sterling Marlin, the black and white of Earnhardt, the green, black and white of the Kodiak car of Ken Schrader, off to his best start in years. They're back in the corner.
Those are the front 3. Then it's Todd Bodine. He's worked his way back up to 4th. Jeff Gordon in 5th. And then double wide from there on back. Terry Labonte has moved up. He's racing alongside the Ernie Irvin car for 6th.
There'll be Labonte getting a slight advantage as they come halfway down the back straightaway. Irvin's going to fall back and race alongside Greg Sachs for 7th. Now Sachs will get 7th. Irvin will be left to race with Trickle for 8th.
Irvin trying to find his way back in line, but now he'll dust off Sachs on the entrance of turn number 3. Just blew by him. Tucks down to the inside of the racetrack. Caught out of line is Michael Waltrip now. He'll have to deal with Dick Trickle off turn 4.
And you heard us talk at the beginning of the show this afternoon about what a tough week it had been for Jeff Gordon. He currently rides in 5th place back there and has had a strong car all day long. Let's see if we can get a word out of his pit.
Well, of course, he started 40th today, and he's up in the top 5. Ray, it's been a good drive up to 5th.
Yeah, it really has. Jeff's just shown he's an excellent race driver. He's thinking real well, using a lot of strategy. You know, we qualified 40th fastest, and he's just drove the thing up there on his own, so he's doing a heck of a job.
Evidently getting a lot of good help from your spotter.
Yeah, we've got a spotter on the front straightaway and the back straightaway, and he's had some help, from the other Hendrick Motorsports cars out there and Dave Marcus. So we've just got to work together and hope it stays good for us all day long.
Well, his best finish here last year was 11th in the fall race, but he's doing a great job right now. Jeff Gordon, 5th.
Just put the watch on him on the leader a moment ago, and they're getting around here in about 49 and 8/10 seconds, and that's almost what they qualified.
Dale Earnhardt now takes over the lead as he works off a scramble. Ken Schrader had tried to go from 3rd to 2nd. It didn't work, and he's all the way back to 8th. Schrader, who picked up his first ever Winston Cup win here at Talladega in the 1988 Die Hard 500, settles back in line with Earnhardt showing the way. Todd Bodine 2nd.
Jeff Gordon now up to 3rd. Sterling Marlin falls in line in 4th. Marlin now looks to the inside of Jeff Gordon and a challenge for 3rd.
Ernie Irvin will go with Sterling Marlin. They'll dive down to the bottom side of the back straightaway. Terry Labonte, meanwhile, will try and help Gordon. Now Irvin drops down to the inside of Marlin. They'll go 3 wide for 3rd.
Irvin dusts him off on the entrance of turn number 3. He'll get the 3rd position. Now Sterling Marlin forced to duel alongside Jeff Gordon. The 2 Chevrolets still side by side. Finally, Marlin picks up some drafting help. There's Greg Sachs right behind.
And we've seen a couple of cars from way back in the pack. Sterling Marlin, one of those, notably, that came driving up through there a moment ago. So it can be anybody's race, at least in the early going here this afternoon. There's enough strength. If you can get just a little bit of drafting help, you can go from 10th all the way up to the lead. And Joe Moore, you've seen that a couple of times this afternoon.
Yeah, you get out of line, you definitely go backwards. And what I've seen today, I've noticed a lot of times drivers are not getting left in the outside or inside lane. They're getting left in the middle, and cars are flying by on either side. We've seen that happen in the case of Loy Allen and with several other drivers as well up to this stage of the race.
Shuffling going on from the 4th and 5th spots on back now as Sterling Marlin falls in line in 4th between Ernie Irvin and Jeff Gordon. Greg Sachs now left alone at the bottom.
He'll tuck to the inside of the racetrack. No drafting help there. Here comes Lake Speed, but he's about 4 car lengths behind. Sachs squeezes his way back in front of Terry Labonte, maybe with about 3 inches to spare in turn 4.
That's all you need, though, in this business. If the car will fit, you're going to try and put the car in that hole and not lose your part of traffic. Earnhardt leads. Todd Bodine gets drafting help from Irvin. They both cut to the inside here at the start-finish line. They'll try and draft by Earnhardt going back for the lead.
Todd Bodine picks up the spot. Here comes Irvin now. He's racing alongside Earnhardt. Earnhardt, he'll fly by as well. Here's Sterling Marlin next in line. He's in that draft work of the inside lane. He'll pick up third. Earnhardt squeezes back down in fourth.
Now Marlin is going to be left by himself as the front two move up on the high side of the back straightaway. So now Marlin's got no drafting help. He'll lose third, fourth, fifth, sixth. He'll now race alongside Ken Schrader for seventh.
Two Fords show the way as they climb the 33-degree banking of turn number 3. The front 5 cars all single file. Marlin still trying to find his way back in line. Now he picks up a little draft off the backside of Greg Sachs' machine. Tries to squeeze his way back in line, but there's Terry Labonte. No go off turn 4.
Terry Labonte has had some great finishes here at Talladega over the years. He's been in on a lot of those finishes, and he told me the other day, if we can just stay up in that lead draft, I might take this thing to victory lane. There's a couple of cars out there right now that are having problems. Morgan Shepherd, who had been able to stay up in the top 10 or dozen or so a little bit earlier, has now slid all the way back to about 28th position. And we've been watching Kyle Petty. That car, too, has been way off the pace since they put him under the green early this afternoon. The lead pack just leaves turn number 2. They're heading for 3.
There are 23 of them now, bunched up nose to tail. The battle will be for second spot. Ernie Irvan breaks down to the inside, make that for the lead. The second place driver goes after Todd Bodine.
Irvan tucks the black Ford down to the bottom of the racetrack. Todd Bodine battles back nose to nose as they come through the corner, side by side off turn number 4. Now Jeff Gordon on the inside of Dale Earnhardt for third.
Here they work through the tri-oval area, coming to the stripe. 59 laps on the board. Last time by, Todd Bodine was the leader. He was contending with Ernie Irvan and others. This time Bodine continues to lead, but Ernie Irvan getting caught out of traffic. And as Joe Moore told you a short while ago, Ernie ended up in the middle with cars passing him to the inside and the outside, and he'll finally settle in back at around 11th place here. All of that happening in the span of one lap. Todd Bodine leads. Ernie Irvan continues as the leader of the True Value Hard Charger competition. He's been in the top 5 longer than anybody else, with Dale Earnhardt and Greg Sachs behind him in that True Value competition. 10 lead changes among 5 different drivers as the cars are back in 3.
3 Chevrolets will battle it out for the lead, make that a Ford up in the lead, and 2 Chevys battling for second. Earnhardt Chevrolet up to the top of the banking. Sterling Marlin to the bottom of the racetrack. No drafting help on the entrance of 3. Now Michael Walter puts the yellow Pontiac right in behind. They'll go side by side, still for second.
We've seen some great races here at Talladega over the years, but I don't ever remember seeing this many cars stay in that lead draft this long and coming from 8th, 10th, and whatever to take the lead and then dropping back in the field and swapping it around like they have here this afternoon. 61 laps are on the board. Great job for Todd Bodine. Let's see if we can get a word out of his pit.
Troy Selberg, the crew chief, sitting on top of the toolbox here in the pits. Troy, you're back in 11th position. Got a lot of power under that hood to work the way back to the top of the field.
Yeah, well, the Factory Stores America Ford Thunderbirds run good all week for us. We've got a good pro motor under the hood. Charlie Broomhalls has really done a good job on the body for us. Our only problem is we don't have any friends. We can't win for losing. You know, Todd's doing a great job today, and if we can gain any friends before the day's over, you know, we're liable to be in the victory lane.
Is Todd saying anything else on the radio?
No, Todd's not really said a whole lot about the car other than, you know, I need some friends. I need some friends.
That's Troy Selberg, the crew chief, and with not as much experience as many of the other drivers, a lot of drivers not wanting to go with Todd Bodine, but he's doing it on his own. He really is running well. Of course, if Todd ends up with a good finish here today, that would also move Troy Selberg up in that Western Auto Mechanic of the Race competition. He has yet to crack the top 5. Larry McReynolds, that's Ernie Irvan's crew chief, leads in the seasonal balloting towards that $25,000 award at the end of the year, but $2,000 goes to the Western Auto Mechanic of the Race, and Troy Selberg would be certainly a good candidate here in the early going. You've got to look at the folks who prepare that car for Jeff Gordon. As we've heard from Ray Evernham, they have scrambled back from a 40th start to run near the front. 62 laps on the board. Sometimes looks as though the patience is wearing a little thin there, Barney, and sometimes the fellows are just driving, but here they are, 3.5, almost 4 wide in the tri-oval.
They get 3 deep coming into the corner, and this time they catch Sterling Marlin out in that no man's land between the 2 lanes, inside and outside. He's going to lose a lot of spots as they go back to turn 2.
You'll have to fall in line to the tail end of that pack, and there's about 12 cars there that'll all fly by. Dale Jarrett now going to the inside to make the move, but up front again, it's Todd Bodine in front of Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt running right in his back bumper, breathes the car just a little bit down to the inside. Now Todd Bodine ducks down to the inside. Earnhardt looks to the outside. Terry Labonte right with him. They're also 3 wide, back for 7th.
Greg Sachs on the inside of the racetrack trying to pick up some drafting help. Looked like Ken Schrader might go with him to the bottom of the racetrack. Now he'll slip up to the high side and hook up with a Chevrolet. Jeff Gordon is there. This is the battle for 4th. north off turn 4.
Here they come back to the tri-oval area. That battle will settle down for just a moment. Jeff Gordon keeping Kenny Schrader at bay. Dick Trickle, the man caught out of line this time. Greg Sachs, as the field will steamroll past him to his outside, past the start-finish line. Jim Phillips, we've had that one caution flag so far. Everybody pitted lap number 20. We're now 44 laps further down the road. When should the next scheduled pit stops come if there's no caution flag?
I've heard between 48 laps to be safe and 52 laps up to 55 laps on the next pit stop. So between 68 and 75 laps, we should start seeing the pit stops for fuel.
64 laps are on that scoreboard right now. Again, they split up at the front of the field. It is still Todd Bodine pulling Dale Earnhardt around here. You know, in the pits a moment ago, the report we had, we need some friends out there. Todd is saying we need some friends. What he means is he needs somebody to draft with him and stay up there with him. We have seen that so many times here at Daytona and also at Talladega where we are today, that a car will be faster than anybody out there, and a lot of times nobody will just draft with him. And I've never figured that out, because you're not going to lose anything if you stay with him. Here's a change for the lead in turn 1.
Another example of that you're talking about there, Barney. Down to the inside goes Earnhardt. Everyone falls in line behind him. Terry Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Ken Schrader. Todd Bodine goes to the lead, back to third already.
And when Earnhardt comes off of turn number 2, instead of moving up on the high side of the backstretch in front of Bodine, he stays down to the inside. That inside line of cars still steaming by. Now here's Terry Labonte looking under Earnhardt.
Labonte takes a peek there. Now Gordon to the outside of Labonte. Labonte drifts up to the middle of the banking. Gordon forced almost all the way to the top of the racetrack. They'll settle down now as they exit turn number 4, but here comes Labonte back for second.
Terry thought about forcing the issue there, elects not to. He'll work to the low side of the racetrack, and Earnhardt will hang on to the lead. Further back at about 7th or 8th spot, Michael Waltrip's Pennzoil Pontiac going way wide in the tri-oval area. Gets a spot ahead of Mark Martin as they squeeze that outside wall going back into turn 1.
Now here's Sterling Marlin diving to the inside. He's trying to get by the Todd Bodine car. He picked him about the 5th position by doing that. Bodine comes down on him. Marlin tries to take it even lower off turn number 2. He's racing alongside Bodine now.
And a new leader on the back straightaway. Jeff Gordon powers his way by Dale Earnhardt. So Gordon moves to the front. Terry Labonte will draw up underneath Earnhardt to race for second.
Labonte sticks it right down to the inside of the racetrack, trying to pick up some drafting help, and does. Here's Michael Waltrip's yellow Pontiac to the bottom of the racetrack, but Labonte is strong through the corner, almost all by himself. He powers by Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt battles back off the turn.
Door to door, they come into the dog leg, that big bend right in the middle of the racetrack as they come down. Earnhardt on the high side, Terry at the bottom of the racetrack. The bottom of the racetrack most of the time will be the way to be, but Earnhardt makes that draft work for him on the outside and will swing back into second place.
Green flag pit stop's the name of the game. Ted Musgrave has been in. Rick Mast is in. The lead here at the start-finish line, held now by Ernie Irvan, after Jeff Gordon held the lead for some 3 laps. Let's go back to pit road as a dozen cars are in for service. First to Winston.
Mark Martin comes on to pit road along with Michael Waltrip. They're going to the right side of the cars. It's going to be a 2-tire change. Lake Speed, Steve Grissom, Dale Jarrett, Jeff Purvis all getting 2 tires in gasoline. Here come Loy Allen and Mike Wallace now to Jim Phillips.
Dale Earnhardt is in, 12.5 on his pit stop. Further down the pit lane, John Andretti is in. Terry Labonte is in for service. Michael Waltrip in, and here Jimmy Spencer. He's getting left side tires instead of rights. As a matter of fact, they're changing all 4 tires on the Spencer car. He is down and away here on lap 70.
Just about half the field came in that time around, and we were talking about how difficult it was going to be in that big lead pack of cars going through the corner up there to drop off the speed and get down on the apron of the racetrack and keep from getting tagged getting onto pit road. But about half of them were able to do it. They've gone back onto the speedway. Now here comes the second wave into the pits. Let's go back down for some more reports.
Here's Greg Sachs in for service along with Todd Bodine. The crew's working on the right side of the car. Neither one of these drivers got tires the first time in, so they're getting right side tires for the first time. Bill Elliott now coming in as Ricky Rudd pulls away. Jeff Burton getting service now in front of Jim Phillips. More drivers.
Jimmy Hensley is in. He's getting right side tires and gasoline. Farther on down the pit lane. And well, he's the only one in except for Brett Bodine, and he's coming out of the pits right now. We expect Ernie Irvan in on this lap.
Everything else seems to be routine for all of these teams. Chuck Bounds a little slow coming up to racing speed after his stop, but he is resumed now. Here comes Jeremy Mayfield, his car complete with an early Ernie engine power plant beneath the hood of the Shoney's Inn entry. So all of these pit stops on either lap 71 or 72 under green. If you're just joining us, we have had only 1 caution flag. It came out at lap number 19 when Jeff Bodine reported that he cut down a tire and slammed the wall up and in turn number 4. He has gone to the garage area. Otherwise, every car is still running. 16 lead changes among 6 drivers here at Talladega Superspeedway. The lead still held by Ernie Irvan, who was the pole sitter, led for the first 17 laps, and then the lead swapping began. Derek Culp in for service. It's routine for the Finger Hut team as Irvan in traffic now works through the trial area, in and around some other cars, some of whom have pitted, others have not.
It's a three-way dice as they come across the line that time. 3 deep. Irvin's caught in the middle. Some good racing going on there as they swing over toward turn 2.
Jeff Burton's on his outside. Down to the inside is a Ken Schrader car, and Schrader now gets out in front of Irvin. Irvin will drop that in line behind him and draft along with help from Terry Labonte and Dale Jarrett.
2 groups of cars now on this back straightaway. The first 8 cars long. Dale Earnhardt through Todd Bodine in that group. Meanwhile, Ernie Irvan still tied up in the second group of cars, racing alongside Wally Dallenbach.
Irvin will keep it down to the inside of the racetrack. A whole bunch of traffic there, 2 by 2 by 2 as they shuffle through turns 3 and 4. Now coming off the corner, Ernie Irvan keeps it down to the low side, not peeling off, and now does. Ernie Irvan makes a left-hand turn, peels off along with Ken Schrader and Terry Labonte.
So those cars that have been running near the head of the field come into the attention of their crews. They'll drop down from 193 miles an hour to 65 miles an hour. That's pit road speed here. Let's cover the stop. First man to stop, Ken Schrader.
The crew goes to work on the right side of the car. Todd Bodine just coming in for a stop-and-go penalty. That'll cost him some time. Right side tires for Ken Schrader Chevrolet. Rusty Wallace brings the Ford in. The crew wheels around to the right side. It'll be a 2-tire stop to Jim Phillips.
Ernie Irvan is in. He's getting service right now. 11.2 seconds on the stop for Irvan. Terry Labonte's in. He's getting right side tires. Irvan got right side tires also.
Kenny Schrader had been posted as a leader just before he came onto pit road a moment ago. This is going to jumble up the standings. I think they're showing Dave Marcus as the leader right now, and a lot of times Marcus will stay out there and pick up those 5 bonus points. Let's go back to the pits.
Sterling Marlin was in just a lap back. He came in, took on 2 tires of gasoline. As the car came into the pits, it was not running. He had run out of fuel on the racetrack.
Stayed out there just a little bit too long. 74 laps are on the scoreboard. 188 will make up the Winston Select 500 here this afternoon. It has been a dandy race so far, anywhere from a 4-car breakaway for just a couple of laps to as many as 28 cars up in that lead draft all afternoon long.
A quick stop-and-go penalty for the Jeff Burton team. Excessive speed on the pit lane. He is in at lap number 74. Dave Marcus has not yet pitted. Behind him, however, Ernie Irvan has retained the lead among those who have pitted. Great work from Larry McReynolds and the boys. Ken Schrader will come off pit road still in second, although technically in third, but he's being challenged now by Earnhardt's car along with Jeff Gordon and others as they scramble back into turn number 1.
Earnhardt opens a lane down to the inside. He'll get by Schrader, who's left all alone up on the outside. Here comes Sachs making the move. Morgan Shepherd comes by. Door still open for Jeff Gordon. Mark Martin and Ricky Ruddle trying to scramble by the Ken Schrader car.
All those cars trying to force their way down to the inside now as they come down the back straightaway. Now Schrader picks up some drafting help. He's tucked in behind Morgan Shepherd, but Jeff Gordon will still race by him on the inside.
Mark Martin was the drafting help there for a moment, but that evaporates as they climb the 33-degree banking, and now he'll tuck back out to the outside. Martin does. He'll pick up some other drafting help as well. The top 9 cars now go single file off turn 4 back to start finish.
And Joe Nemechek will make a late pit stop, and so Dave Marcus will too, and Marcus will go back onto the racetrack at lap 75.
Joe Nemechek takes his car to the garage area. He is the second retiree of the day. Jeff Bodine, the other man there. 36 cars on the lead lap. There had been 37 of those, but Jeff Burton was passed, and now Rick Mast going a lap down as well. So 35 cars being posted on the lead lap. There have been 19 lead changes among 8 different drivers. Let's check with David Hyatt on that Joe Nemechek story.
Talked with Waddell Wilson in the pits just a moment ago, and he says that Joe Nemechek came in. Apparently they dropped a valve. We'll get a word with Joe in just a second.
So that car has now gone to the garage. 79 laps go up on the scoreboard, and the fact that the field has really broken up now and has begun to spread out around Talladega when those pit stops were made under green flag conditions just a moment ago, there still appear to be about 7 or 8 to 10 cars up toward that lead draft, although the front 3 have broken away just a little bit, and here they come down to the line. Ernie Irvan is the leader. Earnhardt rides second. Greg Sachs is third. From 4th on back, it is a dandy battle going on back there. Currently, Jeff Gordon hangs on to that as they sweep back into turn 2.
Gordon just picked up that spot as they work down to the inside of the slower car of Jeff Burton. In 5th behind him is Morgan Shepherd. He's trying to make a move on Gordon. Then stacked up nose to tail is the Mark Martin car. Ricky Rudd is there, along with Ken Schrader and Jeremy Mayfield.
Mayfield not on the lead lap. Schrader running in the 7th spot. Then the distance of the back straightaway back to the next group in line. Sterling Marlin running now in the 9th spot, leads that group. He's got about 12 to 15 cars running his tail, including Michael Waltrip, Wally Dallenbach, Jeff Purvis, and Dale Jarrett.
Ken Schrader now caught up behind the Jeremy Mayfield car. His lap machine took the inside lane away from Schrader, and that's going to let him lose touch with the leaders now as they scramble down the short straightaway back to the trioval.
It's been a clean race so far. Ernie Irvan is leading. Do you always run here concerned that there is likely going to be a big accident somewhere involving a number of cars, Ernie?
You know something's going to happen, but the problem is you don't know where it's going to happen. So if you're hanging back, saw what happened in front of you, and you're going to get in it. So you just got to race the whole race, and just watch where you're at and who you're around, and just try to stay towards the front. The further you're up front, usually the better off you are. So hanging back just doesn't seem to work, and it's best to just try to go out there and run your best race.
That's the best deal now, Alan. There are 40 other cars on the track with Ernie, and they're all behind him.
They sure are. Ernie Irvan now leading as he has most of the race. That second group of cars where most of the close racing is, including a couple who were up front just a short time ago. Terry Labonte shuffled way back, as is Sterling Marlin.
This would almost have to be the first race that we've run all year in the 94 season that coming in here, you could almost pick a favorite, at least from the garage area. Everybody said Ernie Irvan might have the best car, and so far that's, I won't say the absolute best car, but he's got a car that certainly has led him around here this afternoon. Earnhardt's working on him right now. Takes a look down to the inside in turn 2.
Earnhardt falls back in line, though. Sees he cannot make that move. They'll go single file off the corner. The second pack is really where the action is. That's from 9th place on back. Sterling Marlin, Michael Waltrip, and Wally Dallenbach leading the parade. And behind them, they're going 3 wide. Here's Jeff Purvis working down to the inside of the Lake Speed car, going all the way to the bottom of Dave Marcus. Some 3 wide, some 2 wide, some great racing going on in that second pack.
They sort that 3 wide scramble out. Double wide now as Marcus falls in line behind Jeff Purvis, and they work their way back to turn 3.
Michael Waltrip making a challenge to the inside to grab the position away from Sterling Marlin, but he'll snap it right down to the bottom of the racetrack. Here's Jimmy Spencer moving to the inside now. He'll get in a side-by-side duel back for about the 15th position as they race off turn number 4.
Dale Jarrett doesn't want to give room to Jimmy Spencer. Spencer, though, outpowers Jarrett off the low side of the trioval area, and he'll grab that position. Those cars battling back at 17th place. The leaders are in turn 2.
It's Ernie Irvan still leading the way with Dale Earnhardt looking for a chance to make the move. Still, though, content to ride right behind him as they exit turn 2.
They'll all run single file, including the 2 lap cars on the tail end of that group. The Ricky Rudd machine ducked out of line just for a second on the exit of turn number 2, but he went back in line behind Martin.
Now up to the top of the banking. Here goes Jeff Gordon. The battle is going to be for the 3rd position. Greg Sachs in the Ford to the inside of the racetrack. Gordon Chevrolet up high. Side by side. Still off turn 4 for 3rd.
So they work now here lap 83. That side-by-side battle continues. Morgan Shepherd to the outside. Inside Greg Sachs. Sachs will get shuffled out of the equation now as quickly Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, Schrader, and the lap car of Jeff Burton all close up right behind. We are in central Alabama, Talladega this afternoon. Beautiful afternoon. Temperature about 73 degrees. Those were the same conditions when a couple of Alabama boys were battling here years ago. As we take a look back in our 25th anniversary with a flashback brought to you by STP.
This MRN Silver Anniversary Flashback is sponsored by STP. Drive a better car.
May 16, 1971. A late caution sets up a one-lap dash to the finish of the first Winston 500 at Talladega. Buddy Baker tries to beat Donnie and Bobby Allison for the win.
They will drop the green. Here is the green coming out. There's the white flag indicating 1 lap to go. Donnie Allison in front, Baker in second, Bobby Allison in third.
Donnie Allison in the lead, Baker on the inside, making a bid, and so is Bobby Allison. They're stacked 3 deep coming into the trioval with Donnie Allison trying to win as they head for Yukin.
The Allison pulls up to try the outside. He makes second place. The Allisons finish 1 and 2 at the finish line by 6 inches. Bobby Allison beat Buddy Baker for second position. The checkers unfurl, and the Allison brothers from Alabama take the Winston 500 1-2 this afternoon.
Here at the Talladega Superspeedway. Boy, that flashback brought back some great memories. The first Winston 500. The race prior to that would have been known as the Alabama 500. That first Winston, now Winston Select 500. And one thing has remained standard, the level of competition. It was the Allison boys in those days. Right now it is Ernie Irvan showing the way. And of the 42 cars who started today, still 33 of those being shown on the lead lap. Everybody is chasing Ernie Irvan. From the Talladega Superspeedway, this is MRN Radio. Ernie Irvan continues to show the way. Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon right behind. Morgan Shepherd, then Mark Martin, Ken Schrader, all scrambling for a position. Schrader working well as he tucks to the inside of Greg Sachs as they work on the back straightaway. 88 laps of 188 complete. Lead car now as Ernie Irvan works to the inside of Todd Bodine, putting the factory stores car a lap down. And how quickly your fortunes can change here, going from the penthouse to the outhouse, if you will. It wasn't all that long ago that Todd Bodine was leading here. It was at lap 61. Now at lap 89, he's dropping back. The scramble for the lead, though, is on the backstretch.
Dale Earnhardt dives down to the inside of Ernie Irvan with drafting help from Jeff Gordon. Irvan's going to pick up the draft from Todd Bodine. They'll try and race side by side.
Earnhardt on the inside, Irvan on the outside. The two black machines stick down to the inside of the racetrack. Only a foot separate the two cars through the apex of the turn. Coming off turn number 4. Still 2 by 2 by 2 in the front draft. Dead even for the lead off turn 4.
And both these drivers get a little drafting help this time. Earnhardt almost always is. When he tucks out to go, somebody's going to go with him, and this time it is Jeff Gordon. But on the outside lane, it is door to door. That would have been a photo finish had it been the final lap here. They are still at it for the lead over in turn 2.
Side by side, 4 rows deep. Up front, it's Irvan on the outside of Earnhardt. Then it's Todd Bodine on the outside of the Jeff Gordon car. Schrader and Morgan Shepherd next in line. Here they come off the corner. Gordon looks to the inside of Earnhardt. He'll fall back in behind him.
Still double wide as they rocket down the back straightaway. They snake just a little bit, diving towards the inside. Now weaving back towards the outside. Give Irvan the advantage by a car length now.
Earnhardt to the inside of the racetrack. The lap car of Todd Bodine up high. Ken Schrader caught up behind the Todd Bodine machine. Swings up the banking. Now Jeff Gordon ducks to the inside there. That'll be the battle for third off the 4th corner.
Here they come back to the trioval area. Everybody looking for their piece of real estate. Right now, Ernie Irvan hangs on to the lead. In the garage area, Joe Nemechek has climbed from his race car. Let's get the update.
Rookie contender Joe Nemechek had a short day today. Not what you wanted for your first trip to Talladega.
No, it's not. You know, the Larry Hedrick Motorsports Meineke discount muffler team, we just been struggling the whole time we were down here. This is a third motor we lost. We borrowed this one from Harry Gant. That's what he qualified with. And I think we ended up breaking a valve spring or a valve. We just been really struggling on the speedway stuff, and I feel confident we're going to get it together soon, though.
That's Joe Nemechek, rookie contender. Started 32nd today, but it's a short one for him.
Only a couple of cars have gone to the garage. Jeff Bodine and Joe Nemechek, the only 2 cars that we're showing out of the event here this afternoon. Ernie Irvan has the biggest breathing room anybody has had all day long, and that's about 10 car lengths as he sweeps back into the dog leg and heads down to the start-finish line. Meanwhile, the scramble is still on back there in the middle of the pack. Earnhardt down to the bottom of the racetrack. Kenny Schrader to the outside this time. Greg Sachs caught up in that. In fact, about 8 cars over to turn 2.
Draft is working on the outside, and it's lining up behind Ken Schrader. That's going to help him move to the corner. But Earnhardt single-handedly will now get by Schrader. As they come up on a slower car to the inside, they'll put a lap on Bill Elliott. Here's Earnhardt. He'll grab the second spot.
Elliott heads all the way to the bottom of the back straightaway to allow those cars racing side by side to go around him. Jeff Gordon, not with any drafting help down on that inside line. He'll lose a couple of spots now in the back stretch.
Caught up behind the slower Bill Elliott car down the back straightaway, climbing the banking now, finally finding his way back in line. Meanwhile, Schrader hounding Earnhardt for the second position. The 2 Chevrolets nose to tail off the 4th turn.
Our Grand Marshal today, Mr. Anthony Bruno, the Chief Executive Officer of Big B Drugs, is watching all of this unfold here in the booth. It's great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Eli.
I tell you, folks who don't live in the Birmingham area, I do, but the folks who don't realize what the Bruno family means to all of the state of Alabama and all of your involvement both in items such as Big B and all of the charitable work the family has done. It's great to have you folks involved in the state and all of its activities. I thank you as a citizen of Birmingham.
Well, thank you very much, Eli.
What do you think of this day? It's something special, isn't it?
It's very much special. It's a beautiful day, ideal for racing conditions, and we're seeing a fantastic race here today, one of the closest I think we've ever seen.
This is really something special to get the Bruno family involved. Big B, of course, is a mainstay in this community, and we've seen the Bruno involvement in all sorts of aspects of this weekend here.
Yes, Eli, we have. Of course, I want to thank the R.J. Reynolds people for allowing me to be the Grand Marshal at this Winston Select 500. It's a real honor.
Well, it's great to have you with us here today, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. I know it's an eye-opener for you, as it really is for all of these, for veteran race watchers as well. It's something special. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Eli.
Thank you. Anthony Bruno, the Chief Executive Officer of Big B Drugs.
And enjoying it here this afternoon, along with probably 150 or 60,000 race fans watching the Winston Select 500.
As we work towards lap number 100, if you're curious about the record speed here, back in in 1985, we had only 2 caution flags when Bill Elliott toured the Speedway at 186.288. Of course, that in the pre-restrictor plate days, but nevertheless, this in the post-restrictor plate era, the quickest of the Winston Select 500s at nearly 181 miles an hour. Ernie Irvan here across the stripe puts lap 100 on the board and begins to lap some of the back markers now in turn 1.
Closing in on the Chuck Bound car, Mike Wallace and Darrell Waltrip directly ahead for Irvan, and the whole pack of leaders who all race nose to tail. Here they come now. First approaching Chuck Bound. Irvan steers his car to the outside now to go by that car on the back straightaway.
Now those lap cars are going to stay up on the high side of the back straightaway, so Irvan, Todd Bodine, Earnhardt following in suit. Dive down to the bottom now as they work into turn 3.
Irvan weaves his way to the inside of the racetrack, but the front 2 cars now will shut down the inside lane. Mike Wallace's car down to the bottom of the racetrack, so Irvan is cut off on the inside. Also Darrell Waltrip there as well. Irvan trying to choose up a lane out of turn number 4.
Single file, but they'll come back into the dog leg. This time nobody making a move. Now Ernie drops down to the inside of the racetrack, gets underneath some of that lap traffic, and tries to break around Darrell Waltrip to also get a little clear sailing as they go back into turn number 1. Pete Hamilton has stepped into the booth here with us. Pete won this race back in 1970, and I'm just standing there watching the expression on your face. Once a racer, always a racer. You're dying to get out there, aren't you?
Barney, it's about to kill me. Boy, I really want to get back in these cars. They, especially when we come to Talladega. This place was so good to me.
We're talking a minute ago, you said things never change here. This racetrack hasn't changed since 1970. The technology has changed, but the racing hasn't, has it?
Well, a lot of the trucks and some of the uniforms and sponsorship is kind of fancier, but the work and the work ethic, these guys work their heart out in these cars. It was good to be around and see them go this morning.
Pete, what you got going on for yourself now? A lot of the fans haven't been able to keep tabs on you of late. What you doing?
Well, I've got a office warehouse business in Norcross, Georgia, just north of Atlanta, and it's been real good to me. And I've got a daughter who's a senior over at the University of Georgia, and a lovely wife. We've been married a long time. She's seen a lot of changes in our life.
I bet, but there's something about this racetrack that never changed. What do you see as the biggest difference from when you won here in 1970 to what we're seeing going on here today?
Eli, I think the biggest difference, I couldn't help noticing it, there's probably more cars here that are capable of winning this race, and certainly there's more cars capable of running right up in the front. That's the doggonest most changes of position. You know, I like to see all these young guys, Sterling Marlin and Todd Bodine, and a lot of these young fellas just up there running. It's kind of good to see these second-generation guys coming on.
Those names are going to be there to stay, whether these older guys like them or not. They're up there to stay. I remember the 70 race a little bit, but I couldn't believe that last...
Trouble here in the main straightaway. 2 cars get sideways. Everybody tangles with one another. Mark Martin hard into the wall. Jeff Gordon slams. Here goes Ricky Rudd. Other cars go. Martin is across one guard barrier, hits the inside guard rail near the entrance to the infield road course. Caution on the speedway with cars littering this entire front straightaway here. Everybody else hard on the binders down to about 30 miles an hour. Mark Martin took the wildest ride, but he is climbing from the Valvoline Ford. His car went over towards the infield road course, careened off a guardrail, continued towards the entrance of the infield road course, and slammed into the guardrail there along with the catch fence. Mark Martin's out of his car. Todd Bodine is driving his car as best he can. Other cars littering this main straightaway, and there is an acidy, acrid smell here from all the rubber that is scrubbed off these cars. Just a pungent odor here across this main grandstand, Barney. Some hard hits there. Loy Allen was involved. Jeff Burton is involved. Ricky Rudd is now driven away. But again, let's stress something here. Those flaps on those cars came up in a hurry, and there was not the first inclination for a car to leave the ground, but it all began in the middle of the trioval area. Greg Sachs was there, Todd Bodine, Kenny Schrader, and it looked as though in the area of where Sachs and Jeff Gordon and Bodine were, Sachs seemed to make first contact with Bodine, who then hit Gordon, who in turn hit Rudd, and then Mark Martin. Martin's car really shot directly into the entrance of the infield road course, and then basically, Barney, just ran out of any place to go. And about 8 or 9 cars, by our count, involved here at lap number 103.
Mark Martin probably taking the hardest shot, hitting that inside guardrail, almost head on down there. He immediately climbed out of the car. The safety crews picked him up, put him in the ambulance, and will take him to the care center. Again, the cars involved are Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Ricky Rudd, Todd Bodine was involved, so was Loy Allen, and so is Jeff Burton. a couple of the cars certainly are going to be out here this afternoon. Mark Martin's car will be through for the day, and it looks like Jeff Burton's car might have enough damage on it also that it will not be able to continue.
Well, I'll tell you something. The guardrails did their job because Mark Martin came to a big old halt in a hurry finally near the infield road course. He doubled over, caught his breath for a moment. But it was a scary moment. Again, through the trioval area, it just got tight. Gordon was to the inside, Sachs in the middle, Todd Bodine to the outside. It looked as though the first contact was between the Sachs and Todd Bodine cars. That sent Gordon careening one way, Rudd into the outside wall, Jeff Burton towards the forward part of the field. He collected two other cars, and then Martin just shot across towards the infield road course. And Jim Phillips, now it is Jeff Gordon who's first on the pit lane. He was running fifth when the accident happened.
Well, he didn't have any damage on the left side. He lights all on the right side. The flaps were up, at least one of them, when he came by me. The car was running. And here comes Ernie Irvin down the pit lane. Chuck Bound is in. He's getting... He's got a big dent in the right door of his car. They're changing the right side tires. All four of Gordon's tires were flat, but the interliners was keeping the car up. Here comes Irvin in now, and Earnhardt in as Morgan Shepherd flashes by. So Earnhardt is getting right side tires. Now this time, these two teams are going to change all four tires instead of the two tires we've seen before. Terry Labonte is in right now. Wally Dallenbach goes by. Brett Bodine, Bobby Hamilton, Jimmy Hensley, Garrett Cope, and Dick Trickle, all getting four tires in gasoline.
Winston Kelly.
Michael Waltrip's getting four tires in gasoline, as is Rusty Wallace, Mike Wallace. Greg Sachs now goes out. Ted Musgrave and Steve Grissom along with Lake Speed. The Loy Allen car sitting on pit road. Heavy damage to the front of the car. It's pushed back in with a flat front snout on this Ford. He's got a gash between the 1 and the 9 on the left side of the automobile. A lot of damage to the right side of the car as well. Loy Allen's day may well be over. Didn't see quite that much damage to the Ken Schrader car. He came in, got four tires in gasoline, as did Dale Jarrett. Ken Schrader right behind that incident.
David Hyatt.
I'm standing by the infield care center. They've not brought Mark Martin in at this point yet, but we will keep an eye on it and let you know what happens.
Scary moment right here in the dogleg where we have seen so many things happen at Talladega. And now here's Todd Bodine's car hooked up to the wrecker coming back up. It will be headed to the garage area, and his car will definitely be out for the day. Pete, before we let you go, we appreciate you taking a moment to come by and chat with us. This is the one part of the race that you don't want to be in.
No, that's for sure. I don't think I'll ever do another interview on the radio here like this, an accident like that. I'm glad it appears that they're all right. That was quite a shot that Mark Martin. He kind of severed that first little guardrail and boom, went into the second.
But the safety factors that was in the cars when you were in them back in the 70s are still in there today. Thank goodness.
Oh, I am really glad. In fact, I think they've come a long way. I'm glad to see that roof thing that flips up when they go backwards. For a while there, that's an awful scary thing in a big place like this.
But it worked well here again. Those flaps came flying high, and not the first car made any tendency to get up off the ground. That might not have been the case a few years ago. Pete Hamilton, great to see you. And, hey, don't be a stranger. Come by and visit us again, would you?
Thank you, Eli. And I liked your Eli Goldism, that outhouse to the
from the penthouse to the outhouse.
Yes, I like that. Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it, man. Penalty, 2 caution flags, but this second one has been a dandy as a number of cars, Greg Sachs, Todd Bodine, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Jeff Burton, Ricky Rudd, and Loy Allen all got together, littered here along the main straightaway. Some have been able to continue with repeated pit stops. Others have gone to the garage area, including Loy Allen's car. Let's get an update.
They just pushed the Hooters Ford away. Loy Allen crawling out of it. Loy, could you see what happened there in front of you?
I really couldn't. In front of me, I mean, there's a bunch of cars that just started spinning, and we're already at the high side committed, so we thought we made it through, but, we just got unlucky, and the Hooters team did a great job today.
How about the race early on? You hung up there with them for a while.
Yeah, you can get kicked out really quick, but we learned a lot today, and we learned a lot when we got back in the lead draft just to find some things out, and, hopefully we'll be back here in the fall.
Front row starter Loy Allen out this afternoon.
Tell you what, Jeff Gordon took a scary ride. He came by the start-finish line running sideways, and that car turned around. The flaps flew up, the roof flaps, to keep it down on the ground, and it slid all the way down about 1,600 feet before it came to a stop down there. Again, the cars that will be out behind the wall with severe damage, Mark Martin is out, Jeff Burton, Todd Bodine, and Loy Allen, and there's damage to several other cars.
I got to think, if I had a vote, which I don't, but I'd have to give the Goodies Headache Award to Mark Martin right now, just by virtue of the ride he took and the sudden stop at the end. We'll have to wait and see who the news media votes on a bit later on. But the folks at Goodies Pharmaceuticals giving away the Goodies Headache Award, as always. $1,000 on the line to the driver deemed worthy of that unfortunate honor today. True Value Hard Charger Award, Ernie Irvan continues to lead that category. He's been atop the leaderboard longer than anyone else. We have had 20 lead changes among 8 drivers. Dale Earnhardt is currently the race leader. He took the lead at lap 105 and has led 21 of the laps here today. So Ernie Irvan led from lap 76 to 104. If you're keeping tabs along with us at home, lap 105, the lead inherited by Dale Earnhardt. We're now at lap 107 of the 188 laps that make up the leaderboard here today. Earnhardt leads, Irvan second, Schrader third, Morgan Shepherd fourth, and Sterling Marlin fifth. Still working caution for the second time this afternoon at the Talladega Superspeedway, a multi-car incident. Many of the drivers involved have just walked out of the infield care center, and David Hyatt is there. David?
Let's first establish Mark Martin has walked out under his own power. Mark, you're okay. First of all, tell us what happened.
Well, we had a big old wreck. I don't really... If you watch it on TV, I think you can see what happened there, but I couldn't see it from where I was sitting. In the first impact, I didn't have any brakes, and it wouldn't have slowed me down a bit if I'd have had brakes, but it's sure unnatural coming toward those guardrails and fences without any brakes at all.
From the vantage point we had when you hit, the car lifted up and turned around. How about those roof flaps? Did that hold you on the ground?
Yeah, the roof flaps really did their job. When it first turned sideways, it should have turned over, and it didn't, and that kept it on the ground.
Mark Martin, a tough lick and a short day.
So the thoughts of Mark Martin for the benefit of our listening audience that does not have a picture around you. It was basically, as we discussed, a number of cars going for that same piece of real estate. The first contact coming between Greg Sachs and Todd Bodine, and only those gentlemen will know exactly what instigated that, who did indeed make the first move, but it was clearly the 77 car of Sachs and the Todd Bodine car that first got together through the Trioval area, and that in close quarters racing, as we've been describing to you all afternoon long, was the beginning of a domino type of effect with cars then spinning in all sorts of directions.
Eli, Jeff Burton has stepped out of the infield care center as well. Jeff, you've come out on your own power. Let's establish you're okay. From your vantage point, what happened out there?
It looked like the 77 car was in the middle and the 24 car tried to get on the bottom, and when he did, the 77 car tried to give him some room, and he tried to give him a little bit too much room, and he got into the 75 car, and when that happened, Todd got spun, and then, there's nothing anybody could do. It's a shame because Todd and I were both in the same position. We had got ourselves a lap down on pit road, and he and I were going to be able to draft together and try to get that lap back, and the Ray Bestis Ford ran great. I just made a mistake on pit road, and it really cost us.
You were working well a little earlier today with Ricky Rudd in the draft. Was there someone that you drafted with better than anybody else? I mean, that was a tremendous draft going out there.
Yeah, I really liked drafting with Rudd there. We had a really good deal going. I wanted to stay with him the whole time, but there at the end, he had a little different priority than I did. He needed to stay in line and keep himself out of trouble. I needed to get my lap back, so I couldn't really stay with him like I wanted to. I had to jump on the outside, and as soon as I got to about third in line, right behind Todd, that's when the wreck happened. So I worked so hard to get there, and then it all hell broke loose, basically.
Jeff Burton, he leads the rookie standings coming into today's race, but this is going to cut things a little short because Steve Grissom is still on the racetrack.
The field forming up for a restart at lap 111. They're in front of Fred Armstrong in turn 4.
Lap cars on the inside of the racetrack. On the outside, the cars on the lead lap. Here comes a pace car off. Dale Earnhardt. Ernie Irvan will lead the way back to start-finish.
And riding third right now is going to be Kenny Schrader. Morgan Shepherd lines up fourth, then Sterling Marlin, then Michael Waltrip, then Greg Sachs as they come down the line for this double file restart. Only about a half a dozen cars, maybe 8 or 10, are being shown a lap down on the inside as they come down to the line. Green flag goes in the air. Earnhardt comes up through that gearbox, but he won't get away from Ernie. Ernie hangs right with him. In fact, he literally pushes him into turn 1.
Ernie Irvan right up on the bumper down on the inside of Earnhardt is Darrell Waltrip trying to get back on the lead lap. Waltrip races side by side with Earnhardt with drafting help. Kicks in now coming into turn 2. Irvan right up on the bumper of Earnhardt. They now begin to pull out to the outside lane and bypass Darrell Waltrip here on the back straightaway.
Waltrip with no drafting help down on the inside. He'll fall back. Now he's going to fall in between second place Irvan and third place Ken Schrader. Schrader quickly pops out of line, dives to the inside of Waltrip as they go to 3.
Ken Schrader will dust off Waltrip on the entrance of turn number 3. Down to the inside of the racetrack, there's Morgan Shepherd, another car on the lead lap. He'll grab the 4th position. The top 4 cars now form up in a single file draft. 5th on 6th on back. Everybody there all scrambling it up with the lap cars trying to get positions.
Michael Waltrip finds his way through traffic. Michael, who turned 31 here yesterday, finally settles in line back in 7th spot directly behind Greg Sachs in 6th. That's Sterling Marlin ahead of those cars while Gant gets off the track. Harry goes into the grass. He spins around backwards and goes up into turn number 1.
The car still spins up to the outside of the wall. He'll collect Wally Dallenbach. Dallenbach spins up. Another car comes to the inside of the track, hits to the side of Wallenbach. They all roll down to the inside apron of turn 1.
And there's a cloud of dust down there. It's going to be very difficult to see. There's going to be at least 4, 5, maybe 6 cars involved, and they're all down on the apron of the racetrack as the safety crews immediately pull down to the apron of the speedway. And it looks like more than a dozen, almost a dozen cars, maybe 10. Terry Labonte is going to be involved in that as the dust is beginning to clear down there.
Jeff Purvis is involved. You've got the Chuck Bowen and Jeremy Mayfield cars. I count from our vantage point, Joe Moore, 9 or 10 cars, and you might be able to see better around the corner than I. Here come the leaders back to the stripe. Dale Earnhardt is the race leader, and everybody will slow down in a giant hurry. The first car we caught going out of control was Gant. We then see Dick Trickle involved, followed by Labonte, Purvis, Chuck Bowen, and Jeremy Mayfield. And again, Joe, you might even have more cars as they rounded the corner. I caught about 10 involved.
A couple more coming out was Jeff Bodine. Also, Dale Jarrett was involved. Jarrett didn't seem to get a lot of damage from the incident. He just pulled back around on the grass and came back out. Here comes Gant passing us now. One of the roof flaps still stuck in the up position. The right side of the car pretty well banged up on Gant's car.
Rusty Wallace also got a piece of that. We saw his car come out of the dust and slide out on the apron of the racetrack. Couldn't tell how bad it was damaged. It is beginning to clear up the dust down there now, but there's going to be at least 10 and possibly more cars involved in it. Again, Wally Dallenbach, Harry Gant, Chuck Bowen, Rusty Wallace, Jeremy Mayfield, and also Dick Trickle's car. Some of those that are damaged down in turn number 1. Trickle out of his car, taking a look at it. Terry Labonte is out of his car also. Rusty Wallace having a little conversation with Terry Labonte down there right now. And let's go back to Joe Moore and see if he can pick up any more cars that might have come around the turn.
Still a few of them down there from outside of my sight here, Barney, on the inside of the racetrack in turn 1. They kicked up a ton of dust as they first came down, and then most of the cars rolled on down to the apron of the track. We see Chuck Bowen's car up on the track. He's trying to get it going now, and a few others being obscured from our view by the motorhomes over in turn 1.
When we said we saw Harry Gant get out of control, having the benefit of seeing a videotape replay in the booth, it was Gant who was hit by Labonte after Terry was hit by another car in all of the smoke. So we can't tell exactly who the first car was to get out of shape. One thing we can check on, though, is the aftermath of that second caution. Todd Bodine has been standing by, having left the infield care center moments ago. In the aftermath of that caution at lap 103, he's with David Hyatt.
Todd Bodine started third today, off to a great start. First thing was nobody would draft with you, and then you kept the car up there in the front, good speed, but man, your day shortened up in a hurry. What happened out there?
Well, you know, we got a lap down because I speeded on pit road, and that's pretty stupid on my part, but you know, we were running with the lead draft, trying to get a chance to get our lap back if a yellow come out, and Greg Sachs got caught out of position and got in the middle of a bunch of cars and lost all the air off his car and just started wiggling around, and he ended up wiggling into my quarter panel, and that's when I turned sideways, and everything started from there.
Todd Bodine, obviously you've checked out okay at the care center. Someone said you guys were going to try to get the car back in today.
Well, they're working on it. I just got over here. I don't know how bad it is. You know, a lot of cars just went out in that wreck, so if we can get out and ride around about 20 laps, we'll probably get some more points, so we're going to try.
Second time this year that Todd Bodine has been bitten by the Superspeedway bug.
Rusty Wallace car, now hooked up to the wrecker, will be heading back to the garage area. So Rusty is going to be eliminated by the accident here this afternoon. And from what we're seeing from here, looking at Dick Trickle's car, it certainly will go out also. And as soon as they get the safety vehicles off the apron of the racetrack and hook up to some of these cars and pull them back by, we'll tell you again of the cars that will likely be through for the day. But Dale Jarrett got a piece of that also. There was quite a bit of damage to his car. I think he was in the pits just a moment ago. We might get a report there.
Dale Jarrett is back in the pits for a second time, as is Hut Strickland. The damage to the Strickland car concentrated behind the right rear tire. Not a heavy damage there. The damage above the right rear tire on Dale Jarrett's car and completely down the right side of the Chevrolet. It looks like somebody took a can opener and opened up the sheet metal right above the right rear tire on Dale Jarrett's car. A little bit of damage to Jeff Bodine's car. We see Rusty Wallace's car coming by us. Heavy damage to that automobile. Damage to the right side of Harry Gant's car. Jimmy Penland, Charlie Presley, and the crew have been pounding out the right side of that car where Gant took heavy damage as he hit the outer retaining wall. The damage concentrated mostly on the right front of the car.
The attrition rate is building in a hurry here at Talladega this afternoon. Jeremy Mayfield's car now comes by hooked up to a wrecker, and everybody except one car, Joe Nemechek, that is in the garage area, has gone out due to an accident. Terry Labonte's car just towed in a moment ago. Wally Dallenbach and Rusty Wallace, along with Loy Allen, Todd Bodine, and Jeff Burton, and Mark Martin, some of the cars involved in accidents.
Barney, we've caught up with Wally Dallenbach. He just came in after that last crash. Wally, first of all, you're okay, obviously. Tell us what happened out there.
It was really hard to see, but it looked like there was one or two guys out there driving like it was the last lap, and I don't know who it was, but somebody got turned in the 5 car, and they're just driving like they don't need to be driving. We got this far clean, and then all of a sudden on the restarts, these guys just are nuts.
Looked like you had the car under you today. I mean, it's the best run we've seen for a while. You came up from the back, and unfortunate you were taken out so early.
It really is. We've had a pretty tough year this year, but the guys put a good car under me, and, we're trying to give STP a good ride today. It was fun while it lasted.
Wally Dallenbach, again, he is okay.
The aftermath of this most recent multi-car accident still being shown to us now. We've just located the Derek Cope car. The finger hut machine was out there surrounded by safety vehicles, and that car now being towed away. So to this moment, Wally Dallenbach, Dick Trickle, Jimmy Hensley, and Chuck Bown, Jeremy Mayfield, Jeff Purvis, Rusty Wallace, and Derek Cope, all of those cars either being pushed or pulled to the garage area. As a matter of fact, one wrecker is working so hard he was pushing one car while pulling another on the hook, and that's the kind of afternoon that this last caution flag has yielded. Let's check back down quickly to the garage and the care center area with David Hyatt.
We're by the Terry Labonte car. The car is pretty well spent. I mean, sheet metal is bashed in on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side as well. It looks like it's really bent and twisted underneath on the framing of the race car. The crew is, however, going to work on the race car. I guess at any cost they want to try to get these machines back in.
So that's the update from David Hyatt down in the garage area. We'll get an update from some of the drivers here shortly. The Jeff Purvis car now being paraded in front of this main grandstand. Somewhat maudlin trophy there as it is on the hook with the front end shortened up considerably. Derek Cope's car coming by. Here's Dick Trickle's machine. And as well as that Active Motorsports car was running in the top 5 earlier today, it will have to be, I'm sure, another Sunday before that machine is back in racing trim. Don't forget, next weekend we'll be with you from the New Hampshire International Speedway. The Winston Cup cars are idle, but the NASCAR Busch Series runs the Chevy Dealers 250. We'll have it at 1 o'clock Eastern next Saturday afternoon right here on MRN Radio. And do make note of that. It is a Saturday event at New Hampshire. They've got a softball game scheduled for charity on Thursday night. Friday, Busch Pole qualifying with that very popular autograph session that follows. And the ticket office is open. A number of Winston Cup drivers will be on hand, and some $343,000 in purse money set to be battled for in New Hampshire. While we have a chance, let's update you on some other racing news as cleanup continues out in turn number 1 and 2. The NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour is scheduled to run the Miller Icebreaker at Thompson Speedway in Connecticut rained out today. They've been rescheduled for May the 15th. The NASCAR Goodies Dash Series running at Somerville Speedway in South Carolina. The pole sitter was Will Hobgood. He finished 9th. Edward Howell got the win ahead of Larry Caudle and David Hutto. The Tucson Raceway Park hosted the Winston West Tour and the Lube 200. That was Saturday night. Mike Chase in his Chevy Lumina got the win by 2.5 seconds on John Krebs, Toby Butler, Gary Collins, and Jimmy Dick. Next stop for the Winston West will be in 2 weeks from today, along with the Winston Cup cars out at Sears Point Raceway in California. John Krebs is the point leader in the Winston West Series. The Valvoline Pie Royal 125 run this weekend. Dan Press from Vader, Washington, got the win out west ahead of Garrett Evans and Kelly Tanner. That one is in the NASCAR Northwest Tour. The Slim Jim All-Pro Series running the Greenville Pickens Speedway in South Carolina. Jody Ridley, the winner, ahead of Billy Bigley Jr., Mike Cope, Donnie Bishop, and Bobby Gill. That was the Ken Galt 200. Next event will be at May 7th at the South Boston Speedway in Virginia, where the points will be led by Jody Ridley. He has nearly a 100-point lead on Junior Niedecken of Pensacola, Florida. He's second in the points, and Mike Cope is running in third. Also coming up today, green flag at about 45 minutes from now at 4:30 Eastern time. The GMC Truck 150 at the White Mountain Motorsports Park in North Woodstock, New Hampshire. That's the NASCAR Busch Grand National North Series, all coming up later today. Let's check in with Winston Kelly down on pit road.
Rusty Wallace just walking out of the infield care center. The good news is he's okay. Rusty, how'd you see things unfold?
It was just what happened. We got on a restart there, and everything was cool. Everybody was in line, and Jimmy had a real good run. Jimmy Spencer did, and he just went down and made it 3 wide in the trial and got in the back of Terry Labonte. And I was talking to him. I said, man, get out of the throttle, get out of the throttle. And he didn't, and it had a heck of a wreck. It's unfortunate.
These super speedways haven't been that good to Rusty Wallace. You've had some great runs, but the finish is not quite up to par.
Well, I tell you, I've been real happy with my car like the last 4 or 5 times. The car handles great. It runs great. I'm just sitting there running along. We're 12th. It looks like we're going to have a good top 5 finish the way the car was drafting, and they keep wrecking. I told them, I said, we tore the heck out of everything in Martinsville, Wilkesboro, and Bristol. How are we going to get through Talladega? And we didn't make it.
Rusty Wallace, last weekend winner, is out this afternoon.
Terry Labonte has just stepped out of the infield care center as well. First, Terry, you walked out on your own power. You're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It was a shame. Our Kellogg Chevrolet was good, and the 27, I guess he likes to take people out every week, and I guess it was just our turn. So it was very unfortunate for the team. We had a good car here, and it got a lot of other good cars, and he's still out there running like nothing happened.
The car looks pretty well spent, but the crew has gone to work on it. Are you going to try to go back out?
Yeah, we are.
Terry Labonte, unfortunately, a short day.
And we've caught up with Dick Trickle, who was also involved in that accident. Dick, first of all, we can tell you're okay. How did you see things unfold?
Well, you can't see a whole lot. I was back, whether it was half a dozen cars or so, and all I saw was smoke and cars going all over the place. And pretty soon more smoke. I couldn't see nothing. I'm trying to slow down as much as I can, but, we're kind of in a pack. We're all flowing, and cars are sliding back and forth. I finally come through the smoke, and I see 2 cars hooked together like in almost coming backwards on the racetrack, and I just, couldn't do nothing but hit the 43 car, and that pretty well did. I just tapped my nose a couple times, but I'll tell you, the old Active Motorsports car was running. I think we got up as high as the top 10 for sure, almost top 5, and it was really running good today, and we're in the lead lap and just doing what we wanted to do. So I got to give Dean Myers, the owner, and the pit crew a lot of credit because they really did a good job.
Started 38th. We had him up as far as 4th, but Dick Trickle out this afternoon.
We'll take a break and we'll be back. From the Talladega Superspeedway, this is MRN Radio.
18 cars on the lead lap as we go back to green at lap number 120 of 188.
Scramble is on at the front of the pack this time. Earnhardt tries to get away from Ernie Irvan one more time. Won't be able to do it as Ernie locks in on his rear bumper down in turn 1.
Irvan breaks away from the lapped cars down to the inside. First of those, the Bobby Labonte car. He'll fall right in behind the Earnhardt car. They'll get a couple of car links. On 3rd place, Ken Schrader. Further back, Morgan Shepherd in 4th. Sterling Marlin in 5th. They're all working the outside groove off turn 2 and onto the back straightaway.
Greg Sachs runs 6th. Michael Waltrip 7th, Steve Grissom 8th. Those cars break away now on that lead line. They're all single file on the outside with 4 lap cars down to their inside.
Irvan making the challenge to the inside of the racetrack, but Dale Earnhardt's black Chevrolet is there. He'll tuck it down to the bottom of the racetrack. Further back for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Those cars trying to get around the outside of the lap machines on the inside. Here they come off turn number 4. The top 2 beginning to break away as they head back to start finish.
Ken Schrader's trying to stay as tight as he can. He has led and run so many miles here this year in the top 5. As we've said earlier, it's the best start he has had in his Winston Cup career. Schrader now having chased down Ernie Irvan, the front 3 threatening to pull off.
Now Morgan Shepherd trying to track those down. He's got about 5 cars stacked on his rear deck. Sterling Marlin sits behind him in 5th. 6th is Greg Sachs. 7th, Michael Waltrip. Steve Grissom up to 8th, and behind him, Jimmy Spencer. They work the outside lane off turn 2.
Now this lead group beginning to grow and grow as Spencer has led the second pack up to tuck on to Steve Grissom's back bumper. At the head of the pack, a little distance beginning to form between Ken Schrader and Morgan Shepherd.
Morgan Shepherd trying to shorten that distance up down the back straightaway. Here's Sterling Marlin. He'll come in for some drafting help. Greg Sachs now taking a look to the inside of Marlin. That's going to be the battle for the 5th position, but it settles down off turn 4.
Single file. They come back into the dog leg. Todd Bodine's car, heavily damaged a moment ago. They did a lot of work in the garage, cut all the sheet metal away from the front. He has gone back onto the racetrack. Right now, let's go to the garage and check in with David Hyatt.
We're here with Derek Cope. And Derek, you finished 8th in this event last year, but fate's not going to be so kind this year. What did it look like from your vantage point?
Well, things got crowded very quickly all of a sudden, just past start-finish line. Somebody got turned around up there, and from that point, everybody's trying to evade it. And, unfortunately, I got hit from behind, and we thought we were still going to clear it okay. We were in good shape, and then Purvis got hit from somebody else, come right smack up in front of me, and we had nowhere to take the finger out forward. So kind of a long, a short day, but, got a long haul home.
Derek Copes, car is spent, they will not be able to get that one back in this afternoon.
122 laps are on the board. It was going by in a hurry, but these two big accidents we've had here in the last hour have really slowed things down, and it's also eliminated an awful lot of good race cars. But it certainly hasn't eliminated the competition at the front of the pack. Earnhardt trying to hold off Ernie Irvan and Kenny Schrader. Those are the front three. Morgan Shepherd rides fourth. That's a good scramble back in turn one.
Back from the fifth position. Great battle. Jimmy Spencer dove underneath Greg Sachs. He was racing alongside Sterling Marlin. Now Spencer will grab the spot. Michael Waltrip goes low. He gets by. Here's Sachs now. He'll work down to the inside of Sterling Marlin and make that pass cleanly off turn two.
That will be for the 7th spot. Give Marlin 7th. Now Sachs is going to race alongside Steve Grissom for the 8th spot. Running right behind Grissom tightly in his draft is Lake Speed. He's running 10th.
Greg Sachs all by himself on the inside of the racetrack. Marlin gets by. Now Grissom swings up to the high side. He'll pick up some drafting help from behind. Lake Speed is there. Still Sachs all by himself to the bottom of the racetrack. Kyle Petty about 3 car lengths behind as they race off the 4th turn.
Sachs made some hay going down the back straightaway, but running by himself on the inside of that racetrack through the corner, that was not going to hold up. As now Grissom goes by him, Lake Speed goes by, Mike Wallace and Kyle Petty will try and do likewise. Dale Earnhardt leading the 36th lap that he has led today. We've had 3 cautions for 18 laps. If you're just joining us, 20 lead changes among 8 drivers, of the leaders now in 2.
Earnhardt with Ernie Irvan right behind him. Next in line is Ken Schrader, then Jimmy Spencer. They've got 10 car lengths on the 5th place car of Shepherd.
Those cars now running single file down the back straightaway. Shepherd leading Michael Waltrip and Sterling Marlin. Waltrip is going to try and challenge Shepherd now for 5th.
He'll drop down to the inside. Michael Waltrip gets the edge through the turn. Up high goes Shepherd. Now Marlin ducks down to the inside. He'll dust off Shepherd as well. Shepherd takes his car. Driver's left to the bottom of the racetrack. Drops back in line, but not before losing 2 positions.
All of a sudden, it's a big 4-car breakaway after this restart. It took them 5 laps to get away from the rest of the pack. Earnhardt brings him down again. He is the leader. Riding second is still Ernie Irvan, then Kenny Schrader, then Jimmy Spencer. It's about a half a second back to that wave of traffic right in behind him over in turn 2.
This time nobody stepping out of line. Everybody keeps it single file, climbing the 33-degree banking. Earnhardt leads the way. Irvan had tightened up on him coming into the turn, but now he'll fall back a car length off the rear deck.
Second group of 6 cars now beginning to form up to try and chase down the leaders. Michael Waltrip leading that group. They've got about a second of racetrack to make up now. It is Waltrip, Marlin, Shepherd, Grissom, and Speed.
Waltrip's yellow Pontiac shows the way in that second group, making about 10 car lengths to gain up to the top group now. Spencer taking a look to the inside of Schrader, but Schrader keeps his car right amid track. Spencer with no room to make the move. Here comes Ernie Irvan for the lead on the inside.
Ernie Irvan tries to look to the inside now. He hasn't led since lap number 104. Some 21 laps ago, he says, time to get going. He'll bring Schrader and Spencer with him. Ernie Irvan retakes the lead now at lap 126 as the scramble continues back in 1.
Earnhardt falls back in line at the tail end of that front draft. He's now in the 5th position, and now the second pack of traffic begins to close in on him. Michael Waltrip leading that parade. Sterling Marlin and Morgan Shepherd also running nose to tail off turn 2 and onto the back straightaway.
It is now a 9-car lead draft. 3, then a gap, then 5, and make that 6 rather. Earnhardt leading that second group. He's running about 10 car lengths behind 3rd place Jimmy Spencer.
2 Fords and a Chevrolet in the top draft now as they all stay down to the inside of the racetrack. As a matter of fact, all 9 cars do. Nobody steps out of line, and now Dale Earnhardt with Michael Waltrip in tow trying to make it a 9-car draft off turn number 4. Back to start finish.
Very strange racetrack just a moment ago. There was a half a second between the front 3 and the rest of the field. They got door to door there for just about half a straightaway, and all of a sudden there's 9 cars up in the lead draft. This time it's Earnhardt dropping to the bottom of the racetrack with a little drafting help.
Jimmy Spencer saw him coming. He quickly jumped out of the inside before Earnhardt could make the move. Spencer now moves up to the 2nd spot. Earnhardt falls back in line in single file, squeezes in just ahead of the Michael Waltrip car.
They work their way off the corner now and all the way up to the wide side of the back straightaway now, flashing past these jam-packed grandstands. Nobody makes a move. Still, all 9 cars nose to tail back into the corner.
Sunlight beginning to flash off the 9 windshields as they climb the 33-degree banking of turn number 3. Earnhardt taking a look to the inside of Ken Schrader. Schrader drifts up half a lane, now shuts the door off turn 4.
Chuck Bound returns to the racetrack. He is being shown 27 laps down. He'll return to the pit lane for a stop-and-go penalty. In his anxiety to return, he was excessive in his speed on the pit lane, but he has returned. Todd Bodine is back 18 laps down. Jeff Bodine running 90 92 laps down, while Spencer wants a piece of the lead if he can get it in turn 1.
Spencer looks to the outside of Irvin, but Earnhardt's the one who's going to make the move. He dives to the inside of the track. He'll gut by the Ken Schrader car. That'll move Earnhardt to third. Now he looks underneath Spencer.
Picks up drafting help from Michael Waltrip's Pontiac. They'll try and charge down to the inside, but the two Fords in front are a little bit too fast for them. It's still Irvin and Spencer leading.
Ken Schrader's Chevrolet, meanwhile, caught to the outside. The battle is for fourth. On the inside is Michael Waltrip's Pontiac. There comes some drafting help. Sterling Marlin lends a hand to the top of the banking. Now it's 2x2x2 for the fourth position.
Back into the dogleg they come while all that shuffling going on back there. It has allowed the front two, Jimmy Spencer and Ernie Irvin, to get away by a considerable distance. Now they're all going to tuck back in single file, try and chase down the front two.
131 laps on the board. 188 makes up the distance here at Talladega today. Jimmy Spencer tried to make a bid for the lead moments ago, but couldn't get any drafting help. He'll go back to the 5th spot now, behind Irvin, Earnhardt, then Schrader, followed by Michael Waltrip and Sterling Marlin. Let's go to the garage area.
Caught up with Jimmy Hensley. You were a victim of that last crash as well. Jimmy, what did it look like from your vantage point?
Just a lot of smoke in our cars, David. I don't really know what happened or who started or what, but we were up against the wall and really had nowhere else to go but to stay there. And I got hit 2 or 3 times and then after I got hit, I got away from the wall and bounced off 3 or 4 more cars. So just a bad deal. You're obviously okay. The crew is working hard on the race car. You're headed for the trailer. Are you going back out? Well, I really thought we was going to head to the airport, but they scrambling around here pretty hard right now trying to get the Petron Plus forward back. You know, I thought it probably was too damaged too heavily to go back. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Jimmy Hensley, tough break, short day.
Good scramble going on for 5th place out of turn 2.
Onto the back straightaway, it's Jimmy Spencer, who's down to the inside. He's going to lose some spots because he's got no drafting help. Sterling Marlin's going to get by him. Now Spencer's racing for 6th with Morgan Shepherd. He may be racing for 7th with Lake Speed shortly.
Spencer's red Ford continues to go backwards side by side with Lake Speed. Now he gains a little speed through turn number 3, but heading into turn 4, Lake Speed gets the advantage on the outside, but here comes Spencer back again off the 4th turn.
Spencer works to the inside groove. Again, nobody is going to draft with him right there. He'll settle back in line if he can, but Lake Speed is not giving up the ground. Spencer will outmuscle him to the inside and now pull in front of Lake Speed's Quality Care Ford for a position. John Andretti has just gone to the garage area, adding to our attrition list. We'll get an update from there in just a moment or so as we work now at lap number 134 of 188. If you're joining us, we've had 3 cautions. It doesn't sound like much, but 2 of those 3 have been for multi-car incidents. 1 caution in lap 103 and the next just 10 laps later at 113 that has really filled the garage area. 21 lead changes among 8 different drivers here this afternoon. The most predominant driver at the top of the heap has been Ernie Irvin. Dale Earnhardt, who has been right behind him battling. Also a close call there. Here, close calls. How about Ernie Irvin? Nearly scrubs the wall in turn 4.
Dale Earnhardt was trying to make the move to the inside. Irvin looked like he lost a little control. He got up to the top of the banking, held on to the race car, but Eli, he's gone back 7 positions in a big hurry.
Was about to think maybe the car had broke or something. He is still off the pace. Can't tell if he's just the drafts bypassing him and he's going to catch onto the tail end of it or not as he heads over to Joe Moore.
Total front cars, that total front draft has gone by Ernie Irvin. He's trying his best to keep in touch with it. Draft off turn number 2. Let's see, he seems to be up to speed, and I believe he is back up to speed. Doesn't seem to be any damage on the side of the car.
So Ernie Irvin in the course of a lap goes from the lead all the way back now to the 9th spot as Earnhardt leads Ken Schrader and Michael Waltrip to the corner.
Schrader looking like he's going to take a peek there, but now the battle is going to be for the 4th spot. Here's Spencer down to the bottom of the racetrack. He takes his red Ford around and grabs the 4th position away from Sterling Marlin in turn 4.
But Ernie Irvin's car troubles continue. Let's see if we can get an update from that 28 pit.
Just said the car got real loose at one point. All day long the car's been just a little bit loose getting in the turns. At that time, Earnhardt evidently moved the air on the spoiler and he almost hit the wall, and he just dropped back to get his composure back and make a run back to the front.
Came awful close to putting the car in the wall up there, and Dale did get right underneath him and probably did take the air off the spoiler. Earnhardt's the leader. Schrader rides 2nd. Michael Waltrip having a super run here this afternoon. He currently is 3rd. And as they tuck in single file to give us a moment to catch our breath here at lap 136, Wayne Robinson, the Vice President of Sports Marketing Enterprises of the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, has stepped into her booth. Boy, this has come a long way from that first Winston 500 back in, what, 71?
Well, it's hard to believe the success of this track, but it's hard to believe in one way, Barney, and another way it's not. I mean, you got to take your hat off to Grant Lynch and all the folks down here at Talladega. They've done a fantastic job for these fans, and these competitors continue to put on great racing, and the fans are turning out.
The best I remember back about 71, we had that first Winston 500, which is now the Winston Select 500. There might have been 40,000 fans, give or take, here today. There's probably 140,000 plus.
It's unbelievable, the growth of this sport everywhere, but especially here at Talladega. When you look at these tall grandstands and the towers they've put in, and you had to say, well, I wonder if they'll really fill those. No question about it. I think we can put even more people in here. There's no doubt about that.
They even brought the grandstands over from Augusta National Golf Course from the Masters, and those are the new seats that are on the back straightaway. You folks have a very busy month. This is just as big an event as this is just the tip of the iceberg for you folks here in the month of May.
Well, as May is a great month for NASCAR Winston Cup racing. We'll leave here and taking the weekend off, and I tell you, some of these crews are going to be glad we have a weekend off after this week, but take the weekend off and then be going out to Sonoma and then back to Charlotte on Saturday night for the Winston Select.
Let me update the fans real quickly. Earnhardt is still leading this draft. Nobody's pulled out to pass for the last 3 laps around here. Kenny Schrader hangs on to second. Michael Waltrip is third as they sweep back into turns 1 and 2. Have you ever seen a race kind of like this one here today? I thought we were going to be home free and maybe run this thing with 1 caution or so with just a minor spin or 2, but all of a sudden the 2 accidents right here in the dog leg, right at the start-finish line, so to speak, eliminated about 13 to 15 cars, and it did it in a hurry.
Well, Barney, as you know, at Daytona and at Talladega both, it's good, fast racing. But at both of these speedways, when something happens, it happens in a hurry. And when it happens in a hurry, these drivers are the best drivers in the world, but it's hard to control cars, and that's why you have multiple crashes. I'm just glad we didn't have anybody hurt, and hope we have a good, safe race the rest of the day.
Wayne, thanks for stopping by, and we appreciate you folks. I'm sure you had a part in getting some of the old-timers to come back here that were here, Pete Hamilton and Richard Brickhouse, and a lot of the drivers that were here in the 70s.
Well, I think it's really important to keep up with the fans that are coming out, and they like to see the drivers. They remember the good competitors, the competitors that helped build this sport to what it is today, and we certainly don't want to forget them, and it's great to have them back. And it's just fun, Barney, for a lot of us old-timers, and it's hard to believe we're saying old-timers now, to see the guys, and I really had a great weekend myself.
Yeah, you old-timers are doing pretty well. I'll have to give you credit.
I tell you, I listened to you last week on the radio. I wasn't sure you were going to make it through. I'm glad to see you're over that and back this week.
Yeah, I quit gargling with peanut butter and started with razor blades this week, and I think it's cleared my throat up pretty well. Wayne Robertson of Sports Marketing Enterprises visiting with us here this afternoon. Back to the race. Here they come down at the dog leg. 5 cars nose to tail this time, and that's for the lead. Earnhardt pulls them across the line. Schrader second, Michael Waltrip's third, Jimmy Spencer's fourth, and Sterling Marlin is fifth in turn 2.
Back in the 6th spot now, the leg speed car. 7th is Morgan Shepherd. Shuffle on further back. Ernie Irvin trying to catch back up with the front end of that draft. He dives down to the inside of the 8th place car. That's Steve Grissom, and Irvin picks up a little steam coming up off turn 2.
But Irvin has no drafting help. Everyone else is on the high side of the back straightaway, so Irvin's going to lose that spot to Grissom, and he's going to lose a spot to Greg Sachs now. So Irvin's going to run along in 10th as they work to the corner.
Irvin battles back, however. Sachs to the outside, Irvin to the inside. He gets some strength into turn number 3. Irvin trying to find his way back in line. Can't pick up any drafting help. Grissom almost opens up the hole there, but still Ernie Irvin caught to the inside off turn 4.
Dale Earnhardt has led 45 laps today. Ernie Irvin, who had been leading for a while, now 2.5 seconds behind. 15 cars now on the lead lap. 29 cars of the 42 starters running as Dale Earnhardt continues to lead. He has led 49 laps thus far today. Average speed of 156.882 miles an hour. In the last 8 Talladega races, Dale Earnhardt has finished in the top 5 7 times. That's the consistency that's paying off for him right now. Behind Earnhardt, Ken Schrader runs in second. Third is Michael Waltrip, and Michael likes this racetrack. A couple of top 5s and 3 top 10s in his last 4 Winston 500s. 4th spot right now, they'll show Jimmy Spencer. 5th is Sterling Marlin. Lake Speed is 6th. Steve Grissom, a wonderful run in 7th. 8th now is Morgan Shepherd. 9th is Ernie Irvin, and 10th belongs to Greg Sachs. 11th is Ted Musgrave. Kyle Petty is 12th. 13th is Brett Bodine. Dave Marcus is 14th. 15th, Bobby Hamilton. 16th is Dale Jarrett. Mike Wallace is 17th spot. 18th belongs to Darrell Waltrip. 19th, Bobby Labonte. Hut Strickland is 20th. 21st is Bill Elliott, and 22nd, Rick Mast. Those 22 cars being posted on the lead lap here at lap number 145. Taking you now to the cars 1 lap down. There's only one of those. That's Jeff Gordon. He is in 23rd, a lap down. Only one car is 2 laps down. That's Harry Gant. He's running in 24th. Then you drop to 4 laps down for Kirk Shelmerdine in 25th. Then all the way back now, 26th is Ricky Rudd. 27th spot is Chuck Bound. 28th is Todd Bodine. And everybody else is in the garage area right now as a result of those 2 multi-car accidents that have slowed the pace. This mid-race update sponsored by Sports Image, the only officially licensed supplier of Dale Earnhardt, Richard Childress Racing, and GM Goodwrench Racing Souvenirs. And as we told you earlier, for the new Dr. Dale's Suntan Lotion and Dr. Dale's Cooling Lotion, now available from Sports Image, because summertime is here, and Dr. Dale's Suntan Lotion will protect your skin from harmful rays and burning. That's Dr. Dale's Suntan Lotion, and soon Dr. Dale Apparel, available from Sports Image. You can call them toll-free at 1-800-342-7612 for a free color catalog from Sports Image.
We're looking at 146 laps complete. A couple of cars a little bit off the pace. It's really hard to tell if Ernie Irvan has a problem or if he just got lost that draft and has dropped all the way back toward the tail end of it. But just a moment ago, Kenny Schrader really off the pace, and let's see if we can get a report from Kenny's pit.
Let's ask Ken Howes, the crew chief on the car. Ken, the car backed up a bit. What's the problem?
Well, it seemed like we had an electrical problem, and moved the switches around, tried a different ignition system, and now it's running okay again.
That's the word from Ken Howes. They've got a dual ignition system in these Winston Cup cars. The first one went out. Most of them will carry two. He swapped over to the backup system, and in that time frame, though, he lost the lead draft. Ken Schrader needs a caution flag desperately.
And as he moves over toward Joe Moore, Joe, he's lost a lot of ground, about 10 seconds.
Yeah, he really fell out of that battle. He was up there in the second spot, and he's fallen way back now. He's going to have a lot of work to do to catch up with the front draft.
On the back straightaway, Ernie Irvan racing alongside Morgan Shepherd. This will be for the 5th spot as they work their way into turn 3.
He'll pick up some drafting help from Lake Speed. Speed also down to the bottom of the racetrack, but Sterling Marlin cuts off the charge. He'll drop down to the inside, so Irvan now in a side-by-side duel for 5th off the 4th turn.
He stays on the low side of the racetrack, just trying to out-muscle everybody with that Robert Yates engine. Ernie Irvan draws to the inside of Morgan Shepherd now, gets that drafting help from Speed. Morgan goes way wide. It opens the inside even more so, and Ernie Irvan has now worked his way with the draft up in a 5th spot to turn 1.
Morgan Shepherd pulls back up alongside. He's not going to let Ernie Irvan get by that easily. Shepherd's got drafting help from Greg Sachs. They're working the outside lane, but they're the only two. The rest of the cars fall in line behind Irvan down low.
Here's Sterling Marlin looking down to the inside, thinking about making a bid for 3rd spot on Jimmy Spencer. Nobody goes with him. Ernie Irvan not close enough to help him draft along, so he'll fall back in line, single file.
Morgan Shepherd's forward up to the top of the banking. Ernie Irvan's forward down to the inside. Still a battle for 5th. Now Shepherd slides way up the banking. Sachs is there. Looks like he has to back out of it just a bit. Irvan gets an advantage there, but now Shepherd battles back, still for 5th off turn 4.
Morgan Shepherd's had a strong car here at Talladega all day. Ernie Irvan down to the bottom of the racetrack, running door to door as they come into the corner, down to the dog leg. These fans jump to their feet. The front 4 began to break away just a little bit from that door-to-door battle that's going on behind them in turn 1.
Irvan drives it in deep. Again, this battle for the 5th spot with Morgan Shepherd hanging in tough on the outside lane. The car stacked up behind him. Again, down to the inside, Lake Speed. He's behind the Ernie Irvan car. And Greg Sachs still rides along behind Morgan Shepherd in the outside lane.
Double wide for the 2nd spot. Here's Jimmy Spencer down to the inside of Michael Waltrip on the back straightaway. No drafting help for Spencer, though. Irvan again not close enough to help him. Now he'll race for 3rd spot.
Waltrip's yellow Pontiac gets by. Now Sterling Marlin up to the high side of the banking. Spencer battles back. His red Ford to the inside of the racetrack is strong. Side by side, still for 3rd off turn 4.
Here they come through the Trialville area. Lap number 150 will go up on the board. 38 will remain. It is 3 wide for 2nd behind Earnhardt. Michael Waltrip inside, Spencer in the middle, Sterling Marlin to the outside with Morgan Shepherd and Ernie Irvan right behind. Everybody trying to give everybody else some degree of room.
Nose to nose to nose with the 2nd spot coming into the banking. A tricky move here coming into the corner, but finally Michael Waltrip breaks free. He comes down to the inside. He'll grab 2nd. Irvan lost in the draft. He'll fall back to 5th.
Sterling Marlin will grab 3rd. Morgan Shepherd will be 4th. They'll be side by side for 5th. Irvan inside of Spencer, inside of Sachs at the end of the backstretch.
Irvan's black Ford clears a couple of cars and now makes it a battle for the 4th position. Now backs out just a bit. Looking to the inside of the racetrack is Spencer, but Irvan is there. Can't make the move. Back to single file. Now Irvan makes the bid for 3rd off turn 4.
Dale Earnhardt continues to lead the Winston Select 500, lap 154 on the board. Jimmy Spencer trying to force the issue to the inside, tries to squeeze inside of Earnhardt for the lead.
Spencer makes the move coming into turn 1, has to squeeze to the outside of the slower car, Ricky Rudd, but he'll cleanly get by and pick up the top spot. Jimmy Spencer leads. Earnhardt falls into 2nd. Michael Waltrip is 3rd. Here comes Sterling Marlin to challenge him.
Marlin will slide up in between Michael Waltrip, the 3rd place car, and 5th place Morgan Shepherd. Ted Musgrave down on the inside. He'll race side by side for 5th with Shepherd.
That duel will climb the 33-degree banking of turn number 3. Musgrave gets the edge. Now Shepherd. Musgrave going backwards in a big hurry. Shepherd trying to drop down to the inside lane and does now. So Musgrave forced to duel for 6 alongside Lake Speed off the 4th turn.
And we said a moment ago, a lot of discussion going on down in the pits about when they'd make those stops. Here come some of the front runners. Let's go to pit road.
Here they come down pit road. The first one is Jimmy Spencer. The first one to get to his pit stall is Sterling Marlin. Here comes Greg Sachs, Ted Musgrave, Michael Waltrip, and Dale Earnhardt. Waltrip's crew now swings around to the right side of the car. No, they're just going to put in gas. It's gas and only gas and go for Michael Waltrip. The same thing in front of Jim Phillips for Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt with gasoline only. Jimmy Spencer gasoline only. Michael Waltrip with gasoline only. And here they come, the race off pit road. Earnhardt's going to beat Michael Waltrip and Jimmy Spencer off the pit lane.
But Greg Sachs gets out in front of Dale Earnhardt. All of these cars getting gasoline and no tires. The first one in and out is Greg Sachs.
Well, what a tribute to the Goodyear tires as well as they are running here. The team saying there's no need for a tire stop. Morgan Shepherd took the lead last time by. He'll lead lap 155. Ernie Irvan will retake the lead, and he will lead lap 156. Let's go back to pit road.
Eli, I've caught up with John Andretti in the garage. You were another victim of this racetrack today, John, but you weren't in one of the big accidents in a big way. What took you out?
Well, we had a little bit of an engine problem. We think we broke a valve, stuck a valve or broke it or whatever, but we dropped the valve, needless to say, and that put us out.
One of the leading rookie contenders, not going to be his day today. John Andretti, a short day.
And there's still quite a few of that front lead pack yet to come in to make that pit stop, and this is going to separate them up a little bit when they come in, because just a moment ago, Michael Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Greg Sachs, Sterling Marlin, and Jimmy Spencer were all in the pit, so they'll come back on the racetrack together. And it's just a question now whether Ernie Irvan and the rest of the cars out there will pit at the same time, so they'll be able to have at least somebody to draft with. Here's Irvan, the leader. He brings them back down to the line. We look at the scoreboard. 157 laps are complete. They go back to turn one.
Single file. Morgan Shepherd falls in line behind Ernie Irvan. Lake Speed is next in line. A couple of car links back to the next car in line. That'll be Kyle Petty. Along with him, the lap car of Mike Wallace, and also in that draft is Brett Bodine. Everybody single file on the back straightaway.
Meantime, the group being led by Greg Sachs and Dale Earnhardt that made their pit stop already is already into turn number 3, about the distance of the back straightaway, separating the two groups now as the second group of Irvan works their way to 3.
And Jimmy Spencer was trying to take a look to the inside there of Sterling Marlin as they come off the corner. That would be for the second position back in that draft. Here come the leaders off the turn. Ernie Irvan showing the way, keeps his foot in it. They're still out on the racetrack as they head back to the dogleg.
The interval for you, the interval from the back of that first pack of cars to that second group of Schrader and Grissom, 5.4 seconds. So that's the spread between those two drafts right now. Here's Jimmy Hensley back on the racetrack with his modified. Doesn't have much of a front end on that car, but he is now 44 laps down, but back on the racetrack to pick up those Winston Cup points. The lead draft is midway down the back straightaway.
Ernie Irvan, Morgan Shepherd, all tucked tightly together with Lake Speed, Kyle Petty, and then Mike Wallace. They're running their way up on some cars now as they work their way into 3.
They'll lock it right down to the inside of the racetrack. Nobody's stepping out of line. Mike Wallace's car, the lap machine, drifts up the banking just a bit, but the top 4 cars stay single file. Still again off the corner, looking to see if anybody drops down the pit lane. Here they come down the short straightaway. Irvan heading for the pit.
Ernie Irvan makes the move to the bottom of the racetrack, and as he does, we see 5 cars. It's going to trail him in, so at least they'll have a 5-car draft to try and stay together. Let's cover some of those pit stops.
Here comes Ernie Irvan and Morgan Shepherd. Shepherd flashes on by. Irvan gets in his pit stall. He stops. They insert the gasoline. The first can of Unocal gasoline is going in, and Larry McReynolds made a chassis adjustment on the Ford. 1 can is all that's in there. That's all they put in. 9.2 seconds on the stop for Ernie Irvan.
Winston Kelly.
Gasoline only for Kyle Petty and Lake Speed. A round and a half of wedge out of the Kyle Petty car. No chassis adjustment on Lake Speed's Ford. They return to the racetrack.
And as they come flying off pit road, they'll come out ahead of Dale Earnhardt in that group that have already pitted. Let's see if they can get up to speed and stay ahead of Earnhardt and the rest of them. They're heading over to turn 2.
They're on the bottom of the racetrack. Ernie Irvan along with the Lake Speed car trying to bring it up to speed. Here comes that second draft led by Earnhardt. They're taking the outside lane. Ernie Irvan comes off turn number 2. Tries to come up in the running group. Here comes the second pack. They're going to pass him down the back straightaway.
Working to the outside of the car being driven by Bobby Labonte, off the pace and coasting down at the bottom. Here's Earnhardt, dives for the inside, blasts right past Irvan.
Ernie Irvan takes it up to the high side of the banking, slowly grinding his way up to speed. Lake Speed as well to the outside of the racetrack, and it looks like they'll hook up with a draft. Everybody now up to speed equally as they come off the 4th corner.
Dave Marcus is not yet pitted, nor has Bobby Hamilton, so they are running 1 and 2 right now. Dave Marcus takes the lead at lap number 158 if you're scoring along with us. We're now at lap 160. Bobby Hamilton led the next lap as Marcus peels off the pit lane. So everything now beginning to cycle around as we're only 28 laps from conclusion here. And Barney, these green flag pit stops.
Trouble in turn number 3. One car hard into the outside wall. Kirk Shelmerdine's machine sounded like he cut a tire down and popped the outside wall.
Shelmerdine is up against the outside wall, and the car stays up there, and caution will come onto the speedway. We're watching for Kirk to see if he can drop down and get out of the groove. Let's go up to turn 4.
Kirk Shelmerdine still to the top of the banking, Barney, and good deal there because now the leaders are coming around out of turn number 4. Shelmerdine safely brings his car down, drivers left to the inside apron. Looked like Shelmerdine just rode the top of the wall all the way through turns 3 and 4, waited until the safe opportunity, looked in his rearview mirror, and then made the move to the inside.
Boy, is this going to be a break for a lot of cars that were going to be separated from that lead pack, and as it is now, likely everybody will come back onto pit road real quickly, make a change of tires, dump in some fuel, and find out who wins. As we said, it's been a big break for a lot of guys to now be able to get right back up there and have a shot at winning this thing.
Right, Darrell Waltrip and Mike Wallace are now on the lead lap. A good break also for the Steve Grissom car. He was in a precarious situation. He and Kenny Schrader, remember, they had hooked up in a draft of their own, and they were lagging behind. So this caution, being the 4th of the afternoon, comes out here at lap number 160. Let's go down to pit road and check in with Jim Phillips.
Ernie Irvin has a problem with his right side spoiler, Eli, on the rear of the car, and his crew has a drill out, and they're going to try to actually drill some bolts in. It has bolts missing out of the right side of the spoiler, and as we pointed out earlier, Ernie has been complaining about the car being loose as he went into the turns, and this has to be making that problem even worse right now, especially running around traffic, but they do plan to come in and pit right now, and the crew is ready to correct the problem on the rear of Ernie Irvin's car. Now the Goodrich crew is up on the wall too. Looks like they're going to pit. Cecil Gordon gets the pit board out. We'll wait and see if they do pit.
You could almost tell, you didn't know what it was, but the way Ernie dropped back up there just a moment ago when he had the problem, got out close to the wall up in turn number 4, he never really came back up and was able to work that draft like he had been before. Didn't know what the problem was, but you're almost certain there was something wrong. Now there's a lot of cars on pit road. Winston Kelly.
Michael Waltrip will be the first one in on this end of pit road, along with Lake Speed, Mike Wallace, Ted Musgrave coming in for service. Here goes Dave Marcus. He just got gasoline in return. Ken Schrader in for service, along with Greg Sachs. Looks like they're just getting gasoline and returning to the racetrack in front of Jim Phillips.
Dale Earnhardt is in. They're getting left side tires. Michael Waltrip has been in. Now the Ernie Irvin crew, they have 3 bolts. They drilled into the right side of the spoiler. It was dangling loose on the far right side. It looks like that they have 4 bolts in it now. They're putting in more. They're tightening those bolts up. So the spoiler is now secure. He put on left side tires, and they filled it up with gasoline. He's going to be the last one out of the pits, but the spoiler on the right side will be secure.
Well, I believe it was Daytona earlier this year when Michael Waltrip had half of his spoiler come off totally, and this one apparently didn't come totally dislodged. It was kind of dangling, but it was at Daytona during the 500 or one of the Gatorade qualifiers, and Michael Waltrip, you might remember, was out there with only half the spoiler in place, and obviously he slowed down in a hurry too.
Well, they've got that one cured, but now Ernie's going to have to play catch-up. He's going to be way back toward the tail end of that lead draft. From the Talladega Superspeedway, this is MRN Radio.
Well, some differing pit road strategies here. Some teams pitted, others did not, and that is going to be a story that could be a factor here down the stretch. Bill Elliott did not pit according to our numbers. Steve Grissom is not pitted. Sterling Marlin was not in. Jimmy Spencer fails to pit. So those cars all running near the head of the field right now as we continue under caution at lap number 164. 188 makes up the difference. Here comes Bill Elliott now. He'll make his pit stop. Hut Strickland, Rick Mast is in. Chuck Bound making his pit stop. Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd, cars that are now a lap down. Let's check into the garage area.
Thanks, Eli. We've caught up with Kirk Shelmerdine. He's still strapped in the car, has not gotten out. Kirk, what happened out there?
Well, we just ran over something. I guess the tire popped all of a sudden right into the backstretch.
Obviously, Kirk is still in. You guys are going back out, obviously.
Yeah, we're going to try to make a few more laps here and beat a couple cars that's out of the race and then come in.
Well, you can hear all the pounding going on in the background. Kirk Shelmerdine about ready to refire the Napa Auto Parts Ford. This is his first time here as a Winston Cup driver. He's been a crew chief for Dale Earnhardt.
164 laps are on the board. That'll give us 24 laps to settle the Winston Select 500 here this afternoon. If I had to pick somebody to win this thing right now, I'd be hard-pressed to to pick a favorite if you'd give me my choice. You will, won't you?
Yeah, you can have your choice. You go ahead for $2. It's your call.
I believe I'll just wait a while.
I would think so, too.
Eli, let's get a comment from Gordon Gibbs, who's the crew chief on Steve Grissom's car. They've been up in that lead draft all day long. Gordon, you guys caught a break in that situation. You didn't pit with the leaders, got behind, caught a break, and decided not to pit. What's the story?
Well, we just thought it would be best right now to stay out. You know, we've been running real well all day long. We missed a couple opportunities to stay with them, but I really think it was a good choice to stay out, and I think we can run with them and hopefully stay up there.
That's Gordon Gibbs, the crew chief on Gadsden, Alabama's Steve Grissom. He's running third right now.
Field about to be given the indication when they come across the stripe. There will be one more lap before we go back to green flag conditions. And apparently those 3 cars are going to stay out there. Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer, and Steve Grissom's
I'm
machine.
in
Go ahead.
Irvin's pit. Need to get a word here with Larry McReynolds. Larry, you had a bad break, but you had a good break that you got to caution.
Yeah, you know, he's been telling me all along. He said if we can get this thing tightened up, I can beat these guys. And nothing we was doing was responding. In the last stop before that last one, the guy seen the spoilers broken. And even Ernie had said, Larry, is it my imagination or is the spoiler down on the right side? And we got it fixed. We got 4 fresh tires, 17 cars on the lead lap. I ain't like what I've been seeing back there in the back of the pack on these restarts, but we'll just see what happens.
That's Larry McReynolds, crew chief for Ernie Irvin, as they set to go the final distance of this race.
And we've caught up with Tony Purr, who's the crew chief on Greg Sachs' car. You guys just came in, made a late pit stop. What's the story, Tony?
Well, Greg, you know, he's running good and all, and we were scared that we might not have got all the lug nuts on the right side. We just wanted to make sure. He feels good. We feel like we can go back to the front. With 4 tires, that won't hurt us. That'll make us even better. So everybody's having to lift, and I don't think he'll have to lift now.
Tighten the right side lug nuts and change left side tires on the U.S. Air car.
So that's what's happening down on pit road where the story plays out. We're at 165 complete. 188 laps makes up the distance here today. Coming up around the NASCAR world, the NASCAR Slim Jim All-Pro Series running next Saturday, May the 7th. The Skoal 200 at South Boston Speedway in Virginia. May the 28th, the Florida 200 at Volusia County Speedway in Barberville, Florida. And June 4th, a 200-lapper at Somerville Speedway in Somerville, South Carolina. Next stop for the Slim Jim Tour. Also, a quick mention of something coming up on Wednesday of this week. Wednesday, May the 4th, is a big day for the folks at Hyde Manufacturing Company. Their activities beginning at 2:30. They'll have a demonstration of Hyde tools. The Busch Grand National team with Mike McLaughlin, the driver, will be on hand. All of that taking place at the Eastford Road location of the Hyde Tools Company up in Southbridge, Massachusetts. They've got hot dogs, hamburgers, barbecue, all sorts of stuff being given away for those of you who want to swing on by and meet the folks from the Hyde Tools team coming up on Wednesday, May the 4th.
165 on the board. Elmo Langley brings the Pontiac pace car onto pit road. Green flag is in the air, and if this thing stays green down to the checker, it could be anybody going to victory lane. The leader is Sterling Marlin. He did not pit. Jimmy Spencer is second. He did not pit. Steve Grissom is third. He also did not pit, but from there back, everyone else went into the pits. Dave Marcus is fourth as they scramble back to turn 1 to settle this one here at Talladega. Over to Joe Moore.
Sterling Marlin gets a big jump on Jimmy Spencer, climbing the banking of turn number 1. Now Steve Grissom follows the line on the outside lane. Slower cars occupying the inside of the track. Here's Dave Marcus, the 4th place car. 5th in line now, the Lake Speed car. Then Morgan Shepherd, all following nose to tail onto the back straightaway.
Watching Ernie Irvin all the way back 17th in line. No move yet to try and advance as he's got lap cars to his inside. Marlin, Spencer, Grissom lead the field now to 3.
Rumbling up the full speed now as they all tuck down to the inside of the racetrack. The leaders do. The front 4 cars now make it 5 as Lake Speed joins the front draft. But 2 cars begin to break away. Jimmy Spencer and Sterling Marlin up front, 1 and 2.
Dave Marcus still hanging right in there. Dave Marcus, what a story that would be here today. A former Talladega winner who wouldn't mind putting that research and development car for Hendrick Motorsports back in victory lane. He had worked out to about a half-lap lead, you might remember, a while ago when some of the other lead lap cars began to make their pit stops. Then when Dave came in under the caution, he had that much of a cushion to take on just fuel and get back out there. He is the leader among those who have pitted. The 3 cars ahead of him never did make a pit stop. The leaders are on the backstretch.
And all running single file up in the high side of the racetrack. Meantime, Ernie Irvin is ducked down to the inside. He's bypassed just a couple of cars, but he's still hung up in lap traffic.
Leaders stay single file as they hit the bottom of the racetrack in turn number 3. Everybody stays that way. Lake Speed looking to the top of the banking just for a moment, but right there is Morgan Shepherd, so he shuts down the inside lane. The top 10 cars all single file off the turn.
17 cars are on the lead lap. It's winding down. You better find yourself a drafting partner, and you better stick with him until the checker comes down here this afternoon, or you're going to go to the tail end of the field. Sterling Marlin, who won Daytona, felt like he could do it again here at Talladega. He's the leader. He's back in one.
Here's the move for fourth now. Lake Speed slings up to the outside of the racetrack. He'll go to the outside of Dave Marcus and try to bypass him. Drafting help falls in behind Speed in the form of Morgan Shepherd, Michael Waltrip, and everybody else in that lead draft.
Marcus all by himself down on the inside line as they rocket past him on the outside. Here goes Dale Earnhardt past Dave Marcus. Now he's going to fall in line behind Earnhardt and in front of Bobby Hamilton.
Meanwhile, the front two cars have been joined. Steve Grissom's machine tucks in behind Jimmy Spencer, but Grissom slides up the banking, opens up a lane, and stealing it on the inside is Lake Speed. Speed will get by. Now the threat for third from another car.
Those cars work through the trial area. Lake Speed looks and sees Morgan Shepherd behind him. Steve Grissom to the outside with Michael Waltrip and Earnhardt. Grissom gets shuffled out. Dave Marcus gets shuffled out. The front pack now scrambles themselves as Spencer wants a piece of the lead in turn one.
Jimmy Spencer dives to the low side of the racetrack. Going into turn one, he's up alongside Sterling Marlin. Marlin struggles to stay even with the Jimmy Spencer car. Side by side off turn number two. The edge to Spencer, but Marlin's still there.
Marlin has the drafting help on the outside. Nobody going with Spencer. Now everybody behind Marlin abandons, comes down to the inside. Lake Speed will push Spencer past into the lead.
Jimmy Spencer gets out front now. Lake Speed takes second. Sterling Marlin struggling to hold on to third. Another Ford is right behind him. Morgan Shepherd now looks to the inside. Marlin squeezes down to the inside. Shepherd gets cut off in the corner and drops in line fourth.
And as every driver will tell you at Talladega, you find out who your friends are in a hurry in the final 20 laps here this afternoon. Spencer has jumped out to a big lead now, 4 car lengths as he crosses the start-finish line. Lake Speed a strong second. He's got his hands full with Sterling Marlin back in turn two.
Sterling Marlin riding in the third spot, right behind the Lake Speed car. It's 2 car lengths back to Morgan Shepherd. He rides in fourth. Fifth is Michael Waltrip, and now on the move in sixth, Dale Earnhardt. He dives to the inside of Ted Musgrave. They'll go side by side, racing for that spot on the back straightaway.
Ernie Irvan trapped 3 wide, couple spots farther back, trying to find a way around Dave Marcus, Kyle Petty, and Greg Sachs. The front 5 are single file. Earnhardt trying to get 6th away from Musgrave.
Musgrave drifts up high on the banking. Earnhardt to the inside. He'll pick up some drafting help right behind. There is Brett Bodine. His car tucks down in behind Earnhardt's machine still. Side by side for the 6th position off turn 4.
Ernie Irvan trying as he can. He's just caught up in traffic near the middle point of the pack. At the head point, here comes Jimmy Spencer. Jimmy through the trioval area in his 123rd career Winston Cup start, looking for win number 1. Lake Speed, a former winner at Darlington, running right behind him in second.
Front 5 cars, nose to tail, the shuffle still from 6th on back, while up front, lap traffic coming into play. The leaders go wide. Back in 6th, it's Earnhardt to the inside of Musgrave. This time, drafting help in the inside lane.
Earnhardt will dive up on the high side in front of Steve Grissom. Here's Spencer dropping down to the inside of the back straightaway, trying to break the draft on Sterling Marlin. Lake Speed is going to get caught out of line there at third.
Shepherd goes to the high side. Lake Speed hung out to dry now. He'll go to the inside of the racetrack. Michael Waltrip's yellow Pontiac drifts to the outside. This will be the battle for the 4th position. Speed on the inside. And now Dale Earnhardt shoots up to join that battle off turn 4.
174 laps on the board. It'll be 175 as the field comes past the trioval area to the stripe. 13 laps to go. The leader is Jimmy Spencer, who finished second here a year ago at Talladega. Sterling Marlin is second, the winner of the Daytona 500. Atlanta Motor Speedway specialist Morgan Shepherd trying to break through with a win here in Talladega today. He runs third. Then you've got other cars all scrambling for position. Dale Earnhardt is up to 4th. Ernie Irvan now 5th. Michael Waltrip runs in the 6th spot, and 7th is Ken Schrader.
On the back straightaway, the leaders all running single file all the way back through the front 8 cars now. Musgrave is running 8th, side by side for 9th. Greg Sachs inside of Lake Speed.
Ernie Irvan taking a look to the inside of Dale Earnhardt. The battle there for the 4th position. Irvan tucks right in behind Earnhardt's rear bumper as they come off turn number 4. The front 5 cars all single file off the 4th corner back to the dogleg.
I got a feeling Ernie Irvan and maybe Dale Earnhardt are going to be the 2 cars that link up and try to get around everyone else at the front of the pack. Jimmy Spencer makes that racetrack real wide here in the dogleg as Morgan Shepherd scooted up just a little bit, and Dale Earnhardt's underneath him. He's going to lose 3rd place.
Earnhardt's making his move down to the inside of the track. Irvan falls in behind him. They'll draft by Morgan Shepherd. Now trying to get a line on Sterling Marlin coming into turn 2. Marlin sees him coming. He'll try to slide down the banking and hold off the move. Now it's Michael Waltrip fanning out to the inside.
He got caught out of line. He'll have to fall in line behind Morgan Shepherd. Meanwhile, Ken Schrader has to check up while Waltrip checks in the line, so Musgrave has to swing out a little bit. They all get away okay.
Front 5 cars all single file. Everybody stays content to the inside of the race. racetrack. Ernie Irvan back in the 4th position. Now Sterling Marlin taking a look for the lead on the inside of Jimmy Spencer. Spencer's red Ford slips to the outside. Marlin takes a look to the inside, now drops back in line.
The lead cars now closing in on the Todd Bodine machine, limping around with that modified look after an accident earlier. They'll swing by him heading up into turn number 1. 11 laps to go, 177 complete. Sterling Marlin still hounding away at Spencer.
Spencer holding him off, though, once again, taking a lower line this time coming into the turn. He'll come up on the slower car of Todd Bodine. Spencer rides along in the top spot. Sterling Marlin is second. Earnhardt peeks to the inside.
Single file on the high side, working their way around the lap traffic, down the back straightaway. Spencer, Marlin, Earnhardt, Irvin. Here's the bid by Earnhardt. Marlin tries to put the block on, though, in 3.
And does as he drops down to the inside of the racetrack. Dale Earnhardt is cut off. Now Earnhardt slips to the high side, as does Spencer. Marlin by himself to the bottom of the racetrack. Now he slips up a lane, side by side for second to the line.
Got to hand it to Dale Earnhardt. He does not come out of that throttle. He took that car right out against the wall, determined to catch Jimmy Spencer if there's any way to do it. He has moved himself up to second place, and in doing so, he's brought Ernie Irvan with him. Can they chase Jimmy Spencer down? They're back in 1.
They're 5 car lengths behind Spencer, but again, Spencer is riding all alone. Earnhardt has drafting help from Irvan, Morgan Shepherd, and Michael Waltrip. Now they catch Spencer in turn number 2. They'll look to the inside, coming off the corner. No chance yet to make the move.
Sterling Marlin, the loser in the last 2.6 miles. He goes from second all the way back to the 10th spot. Down the back straightaway. Earnhardt and Irvin continue to follow Spencer.
Earnhardt's black Chevrolet looking for the opening on the inside of Jimmy Spencer, but Spencer keeps the red Ford down low. Now he drifts up, only a half a lane. No room for Earnhardt to make the move. Everybody stays single file. The top 10 cars off the 4th turn.
Let's go to the Spencer pit.
We're in Jimmy Spencer's pit with Mike Hill. A lot of people behind him as Mike watches his car go by. Mike, they're all behind you right now.
Yeah, we're pretty much like the fox and the hounds out this here, Jimmy. I don't know what they got planned back there. We're just pedaling as fast as we can.
That's Mike Hill, his crew chief, as they watch Jimmy Spencer circle this racetrack and hoping that he can keep it out front for the final few laps.
They're going to have to do a lot of pedaling. It's going to be a lot of changes, I got a feeling, in those last 10 laps. Let's go down to Winston Kelly.
Winston Kelly checking on a story down on pit road right now. We'll hear from him in a moment with the lead cars climbing the banking of turn 3.
Spencer forced up high on the outside of some lap cars. Everybody else swings up and snakes their way around the slower cars that occupy the inside groove. Now snaking their way back down to the inside. Spencer strong off the corner, holds off the charge by Earnhardt. Back to the line.
Here they come through the Trialville area. Lap 180 going up on the board. 8 to go. The leader is Spencer, Earnhardt second, Irvin third, then Shepherd, Michael Waltrip, Schrader, Musgrave, Sachs, Lake Speed, Sterling Marlin, all battling for the win. They're back in turn 1.
Once again, no one steps out of line. Spencer, last time here on the back straightaway, started trying to break the draft, running a lower line than everyone else. This time, they're all tacked up on his rear deck, coming off the corner, single file down to turn 3.
No lap traffic. The distance of the back straightaway this time by. They'll work their way in line. Everybody tucked up tightly together. Now the front 6 beginning to break away from 7th on back.
Ford shows the way as they climb the 33-degree banking of turn number 3. Now here's Schrader to the inside of Waltrip. That's the battle for the 6th position. Waltrip's Pontiac drifting up the banking. Now he tags back onto the lead draft.
We've seen some dandy finishes over the years here at Talladega. I got a feeling we got one coming here in about 6 laps from right now. Here they come down, make that 8 laps from now. Spencer is still the leader. Earnhardt for the last 3 laps around has showed no inclination to make a move on him at all. Ernie Irvan the same way as they tuck in nose to tail behind him. But when Dale Earnhardt goes, I got a feeling Ernie Irvan's going to go with him. They're in turn 2.
Earnhardt's now looking down to the inside of Spencer. Spencer sees him coming, slams the door here in turn number 2. They'll tuck back in right on the rear deck of the race leader.
Dale Jarrett's car will be up ahead of the leaders. It'll take him a few more laps to catch him, though. Now 5 cars beginning to break away as Michael Waltrip loses contact with Ken Schrader.
Schrader's back into the 5-car draft now. 2 Chevys and 3 Fords rumble into turn number 3. Now heading into 4. Spencer keeps his red Ford right down to the bottom of the racetrack. No room to make the move. Everybody stays single file off the 4th corner.
Barney, you mentioned the fact that when Earnhardt goes, so too will Irvin likely go, but Jimmy Spencer, to put it mildly, is not one who has moved over the years. He has taken those squatters right seriously. Just because 2 guys hook up, will they be able to make the move around Spencer? We'll find out inside of 6 laps. They're back in 1.
Everybody knows the tail coming back into turn 1. Again, Earnhardt takes a little bit lower line. Spencer goes up the banking, now brings it back down. Earnhardt gets a shot, looks to the inside. No chance to make the move. He'll fall back in single file.
Ernie Irvan right in Dale Earnhardt's tire tracks, as are Morgan Shepherd and Ken Schrader. They come up to the end of the back straightaway now and begin to close. close on Dale Jarrett's car.
Jimmy Spencer shutting down the inside lane once again for Dale Earnhardt. Now here's Ernie Irvan. He'll drift up the banking a bit, as does Earnhardt. The inside lane closed down by Dale Jarrett's machine. Everybody moves to the outside. A quick scramble, but back to single file.
Like a big roulette wheel, place your bets on these numbers as they come down the line. Is it going to be 27? Is it going to be 3? Is it going to be 28? Is it going to be 21? Or is it going to be 25? Those are the 5 cars with 5 laps to go. They make a move in turn 1.
Front 5 cars all nose to tail once again coming into the turn. Here's Earnhardt. He drops down low. Spencer tried to slam the door, couldn't do it. Earnhardt gets by. Spencer has to quickly get down in line before Irvan falls in line behind him.
Irvan could not make the move with Earnhardt, so Spencer holds on to the second spot. It's Earnhardt, Spencer, Irvan, Shepard, Schrader. Now Michael Waltrip has caught the leaders as well.
Dale Earnhardt's black Chevrolet works well to the inside of the racetrack. Nothing opening up, and now Ernie Irvan gets some pressure from behind. Morgan Shepard looks to the inside. He opened up a half a lane. Now Shepard's got to guard the outside. Here comes Ken Schrader.
Kenny Schrader trying to make a move as well as they all mix it up here with 4 laps to go. The leader, Earnhardt, he has not been able to pull away from Spencer. Further back from 5th place, further. They are scrambling it up. The leader is Earnhardt. Spencer looked inside. He peeks inside again. Ernie Irvan waiting and watching.
Those cars going single file. Also, Ken Schrader now riding in the 4th spot. Michael Waltrip in 5th. The shuffle further back as Morgan Shepard dives to the inside of Sterling Marlin. They'll come side by side off turn 2.
Black traffic will be a factor. 4 lap cars ahead of the leaders on the back straightaway. Earnhardt darts to the inside, weaves back to the outside. Here's Irvan. He's going to bid on Spencer for second.
Irvan down to the bottom of the racetrack. Takes it right down to the inside of Jimmy Spencer. The 2 Fords side by side through the turn. Coming into turn number 4. Irvan with the edge. Who will go with him? Ken Schrader drifts up to the outside. Lap cars ahead as they head down the short straightaway.
As we said a moment ago, you find out who your friends are in a hurry in the last 10 laps at Talladega. I'm too old for these kind of finishes. I don't know if I can stand this or not. Down to the line, Earnhardt. Spencer goes all the way down to the apron of the racetrack and will make the move in turn number 1, but Willie.
Spencer has a nose out in front. He has to watch out because of slower cars down on the inside. Todd Bodine's machine is there. He threads his way through. Now he's up alongside Earnhardt. Side by side for the lead. They're dead even off turn 2.
No drafting help for the moment for Spencer. Ernie Irvan has fallen back off of his back bumper. Enter Ken Schrader into the picture. Now Michael Waltrip. 3 wide for the lead. In turn 3, Waltrip down to the inside.
Waltrip going for the lead now. The Pontiac down to the bottom of the racetrack. His yellow machine in a side-by-side duel with Dale Earnhardt. Waltrip and Earnhardt dead even off the turn back to the line.
Michael Waltrip's 246th Winston Cup race. He's looking for his first win. Spencer's looking for his first win, but they've still got to chase and pass Dale Earnhardt. They go wide in the tri-oval. 2 laps to go. The field strings back into turn number 1. It's still a grab bag among 8 drivers.
Earnhardt leads the way. Michael Waltrip is second. Schrader now in 3rd. Jimmy Spencer on the inside of the track. He's challenging for 3rd with Schrader. Ernie Irvan still in the picture as well. He's sitting there in the 5th spot.
Couple of lap cars ahead as the leaders blast their way down the straightaway. Harrigan and Chuck Bound begin to edge towards the inside. It's Ernie Irvan pushing Ken Schrader, trying to stay in contact with the front 2.
No friends for Jimmy Spencer, backwards in a big hurry, but now Spencer battles back to the inside of the racetrack. Irvan opened up a 3/4 of a lane. Spencer took advantage. He muscles his car to the inside. More lap traffic ahead as they head back to the white flag.
This may be the most exciting finish anybody's ever seen here at Talladega. Earnhardt's leader, Michael Waltrip second, Kenny Schrader is 3rd. Back in 4th place, it's Jimmy Spencer and Ernie Irvan door to door going at it. Final lap, white flag, now in turn 1.
They'll flash by some of the slower cars down on the inside. Harry Gant, couple others occupying the inside lane. But up front, still it's single file. Earnhardt, Michael Waltrip, Ken Schrader, and Ernie Irvan. They've got about 5 car lengths on the 5th place car of Jimmy Spencer.
Down the stretch they clumb. Here's the move. Michael Waltrip to the inside. Schrader to the outside. Earnhardt blocks Waltrip. Now moves to the outside. He blocks Schrader. Irvan 3 wide at the bottom.
Ernie Irvan to the inside of the racetrack. The black Ford with the advantage. He advances to second. Michael Waltrip is 3rd. Now he sets his sights on Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt's black Chevrolet leads off the 4th corner, but here comes Ernie Irvan to the line.
One final try. Ernie Irvan draws even. He's now trailing through Earnhardt. They come to the tri-oval area. Dale Earnhardt will not feel a challenge at all. Irvan does not pull out. Earnhardt wins. Irvan second. Michael Waltrip 3rd. A photo finish between Jimmy Spencer and Schrader for 4th and 5th in a most remarkable Talladega Winston Select 500. We have seen some moves today that will literally take your breath away. The one move we saw from Spencer before, going to the apron of the racetrack, getting around Todd Bodine, is one of the great moves that we have seen today. But when all was said and done, Earnhardt picked his way through traffic, and that final time through the tri-oval never even felt a challenge from Ernie Irvan.
NASCAR Today continues on MRN Radio, sponsored by Ford and your local Ford dealers, who invite you to see the exciting lineup of tough Ford trucks.
Tell you what, man, I've seen a lot of races here at Talladega, but I've never seen one like we've witnessed here today. We've had a little bit of everything, some moves that will take my breath, and I'm sure as it did the fans here. Nobody has left. Everybody is still in these stands. Dale Earnhardt wins it. Ernie Irvan finishes second. Michael Waltrip, what a run for him in the closing stages here to finish third. And it looks like that Jimmy Spencer will finish fourth, and unofficially right now they're trying to decide whether it was Greg Sachs or Kenny Schrader finishing in fifth. Let's go down to Winston Kelly.
Well, a lot of the drivers came into the entrance to the garage area. Now they're pulling back up to the gas pump. Ernie Irvan driving along in his Haviland Ford. He's nose to nose with an ambulance here behind the wall, having to get around here. Here comes Ken Schrader. He's got his helmet off. Michael Waltrip now coming by, the top five finishers. Also Jimmy Spencer coming by. We'll have a comment from them in just a moment.
They're also still looking at the videotape finish here to determine the exact finishing order of the Greg Sachs car. He was somewhere in that top 5 or 6, and they're just having to go over the videotape replay to establish what happens behind the front three. The front three are set: Earnhardt, Ernie Irvan, and Michael Waltrip. Then from there on back, they're going to have to review the numbers.
Eli, we've got to the gas pump. Kenny Schrader talking to Ernie Irvan about those last few laps. Michael Waltrip has crawled out of the car. Let's walk around here and get a comment from Michael Waltrip. Michael, is a whale of a run for you. How about those last few laps?
Well, it's just it's tough out there. You know, when you get up to the front, they you don't take any prisoners, and it's just a good race. And I had a lot of fun. The Pennzoil Pontiac ran super. I really thought I had a shot at him, but Ernie and somebody else come chugging up there by me, and about spun out in 3 and 4 and made it back. And it's a good day. I want to say hello to my mom at home. She's kind of hurting, and tell her I love her, and just had a lot of fun. My birthday was yesterday, and just a good weekend, I guess.
Michael Waltrip celebrating birthday number 31 yesterday. He comes home third this afternoon.
Great run for Michael. He put on some great moves himself in the final laps here this afternoon. As again, it is Dale Earnhardt down in Victory Lane, and we'll be going there shortly to get his thoughts in just a minute.
Barney, we've caught up with Ernie Irvan. Ernie, you had a great run, but the car dropped back, and then you had to challenge back. You had to battle back to a lot of cars. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we did. You know, the car started getting real loose, kind of like it did at Daytona, and this car's built for speed, and it just don't handle real good, but we held on, ended up second. Texaco, Haviland, Ford, Thunderbird. I mean, that's just all you can ask for. You know, I mean, if we didn't win, then second's the next best thing. Dale drove one heck of a race, and he ended up winning it.
How about that last lap? That was exciting.
I told you to get down to a good lap, and and it did. And Kenny, I had a good run on him, and that gave him momentum. And man, pretty soon we all had momentum. And I was just glad it came down to us and not the 27 car, because he's a little wild.
That's Ernie Irvan. He comes home second this afternoon.
Let's go to Victory Lane. Jim Phillips ready to chat with Dale Earnhardt.
Well, he's got a big smile on his face, and he should have. Dale, what a comeback and what a great win for you.
Well, that was exciting, to win down there my buddy Neil Bonnet's back door. Our thoughts go out for him, but today we're thinking about Eric and Senna and his family and fans. He lost his life this morning in Italy, and, that's racing. He was enjoying what he's doing, and hate to see something like that happen. May he'll be remembered well. He was a great champion, and it was an exciting race today, wasn't it? It was. I just was running along there and trying to stay in position and draft with Ernie or draft with whoever. And Schrader and I was working well together, and the 30 car and I were working well together. And there's a couple more guys in there that was knocking and stirring things up pretty good. But that's racing, so we come along there pretty good. Luckily, we won. Ernie was second, so we didn't gain many points back on him. But it was a good race, and this old Goodwrench Chevrolet come on home.
How about the pass to Spencer to get the lead?
Well, he had been running good. I just decided I got to go low and try something, and I got by him, and then Ernie got by him. So then it was a race. The 30 car came along with us. He came along on the inside, so It's so much passing going on the last couple laps. I don't know who passed with who where. And it was just luckily we ended up first and the 28 was second.
Early in this race, I looked across that tri-oval there at the Talladega sign, and your car was crossed up. I thought you lost it, but you gathered it back.
Well, we got nudged from behind, and luckily we were pretty quick up on the steering wheel there and saved the car. But that was about the story all day. The guys were doing things they shouldn't have been doing and bumping and pushing around, and got a bunch of cars in trouble, tore up a bunch of equipment today from what I could see. And I was in several of them deals that just never did happen, finish up like that. We saved our car and whatever, but these guys got to calm down. It's NASCAR needs to calm some of these guys down.
Well, Dale Earnhardt, 7th win here at Talladega. He wins the Winston Select 500.
At the Talladega Superspeedway, let's go down to Winston Kelly.
With Ken Schrader. Ken, looks like you had a run on him maybe for that last lap. Tell us about it coming down the back straightaway.
Well, Ernie was coming like a bat, man. He was flying. And I figured I just had to go with Ernie. Ernie was going to the bottom, so I went to the bottom. Mikey blocked me. So I cut back to the right and drove right up beside Mikey, no problem. Except Ernie was coming so fast, it put us 3 wide over there. And Spencer was able to get a run at us. But heck, with 30 laps to go, we had ignition failure and flipped the switches and got about 10 seconds back. Turned out that's all it was. And the guys had the car geared up for another ignition. So we're going home with a 5th. It didn't hurt us none.
That's Ken Schrader. Worked hard all day. Came home 5th this afternoon.
And they have looked over the photo finish, and they have posted Schrader officially in 5th now. It is Dale Earnhardt, then Ernie Irvan in 2nd, Michael Waltrip 3rd, Spencer 4th, Schrader 5th. Then they will post the 77 of Greg Sachs in 6th. That now just being posted by the NASCAR scoring computers. For those of you who hadn't heard, let us also clarify one thing Dale Earnhardt mentioned there in Victory Lane. He offered condolences to the family of Ayrton Senna. Ayrton Senna, the great Formula One champion who lost his life in a Formula One race in Imola, Italy this morning. And for those of you who may not follow the Formula One circuit, that was the gentleman about whom Dale Earnhardt was speaking just a short while ago.
Let's go back to the garage.
Now we've caught up with Jimmy Spencer, who drove his heart out all day long with a couple of laps to go. He was in the lead. He was poised to take the lead with 1 lap to go. Tell us about it, Jimmy.
Boy, everybody likes that 3 car, you know. I mean, they must be glue on his back bumper because they just all followed him and went on by me. Just a bad deal, you know. I thought we'd get the McDonald's 4 in the winner's circle today. The guys worked great. The car didn't run as good as it should the first half of the race, you know, but Junior and Mike kept adjusting on it and playing with the tire pressure, and they just did a great job all day long, and we come up short.
Well, earlier in the race, there was an accident that your car seemed to be near. You went 3 wide. Tell us about what happened on that situation.
I really didn't go 3 wide, but it was close to it, you know, and I did cause that accident. I'm sorry for it. I hit the number 5 car. I'm sorry to his crew, and just a judgment call on my part. I sure didn't mean to happen, but it's part of racing. I got bumped a couple times today. The 3 car bumped me pretty good, but I was fortunate to keep it straight. So all in all, we had a good day with a top 5 and look forward to taking that car to Daytona.
How about that attempted pass on Dale with a couple of laps to go?
Well, you know, Ironhead, he's pretty hard to pass. He's like a piece of steel, and I was trying to saw into him, but I just couldn't get anybody to help me, man. I just could not get anybody to help me. So I just got to thank the McDonald's people all over the country that's supporting this team, and we'll get them someday down the road, believe me.
Jimmy Spencer with a 2nd last year, a 4th in the McDonald's car this afternoon.
Spencer put on a heck of a show. I'll tell you, the move he made right here will stick in my memory a long time.
When he went to the inside of the apron of the racetrack to bypass that Todd Bodine car, it was just one of the all-time breathtaking moves, right up there with the pass in the grass that we saw at Charlotte a few years ago. But also a big man, Jimmy Spencer, there to say, yeah, I caused that accident, and he apologized to those involved. Jim Phillips is standing by. He has the word on the Western Auto Mechanic of the Race Award.
Well, we got caught up in so much racing there at the end, it was hard to get just everything on the pit lane. But Gordon Gibbs, the crew chief for Steve Grissom, was named the Western Auto Mechanic of the race. He picks up $2,000, and his name, of course, will go into that final total at the end of the year. So Gordon Gibbs is the Western Auto Mechanic of the race.
Here at the Talladega Superspeedway, Dale Earnhardt has now broken a tie with the late Davey Allison for the most career wins here at the Talladega Superspeedway, winning today's Winston Select 500. Of course, the Gatorade Circle of Champions induction goes to Dale Earnhardt again, as he sweeps all the other post-race honors as well. He takes the True Value Hard Charger competition. That's where points are given to the drivers who are in the top 5 more than anybody else throughout the course of the day. Dale Earnhardt took the lead and led 64 laps here today. And his crew chief, Andy Petrie, takes home $2,000. The Plastic Coat Winning Finish Award goes to the winning crew chief each and every weekend, and Andy Petrie takes home the $2,000 gift from Plastic Coat today.
And let's take a look at the finishing order. Earnhardt is the winner. Ernie Irvan will finish second. Michael Waltrip, a great run, comes home third. Jimmy Spencer finished fourth. Kenny Schrader was fifth. Greg Sachs was sixth. Lake Speed had a good run here today. He is seventh. Sterling Marlin finished eighth. Morgan Shepherd was ninth. Steve Grissom, an outstanding run for young Steve Grissom. He is 10th. Ted Musgrave finished 11th. Bobby Hamilton had a good run and finished 12th. Kyle Petty was 13th. Darrell Waltrip finished 14th. Mike Wallace was 15th. Dave Marcus comes home in 16th. Brett Bodine was 17th. Hut Strickland finished 18th. Bill Elliott 19th. And Rick Mast round out the top 20.
21st today was Dale Jarrett. 22nd, Bobby Labonte. Harry Gant finished 23rd. 24th goes to Mark Martin. And 25th, Ricky Rudd. 26th was Kirk Schilmerdine. Chuck Bound finished 27th. Todd Bodine was 28th, John Andretti 29th, and 30th today was Jimmy Hensley. 31st goes to Derek Cope, 32nd, Terry Labonte, 33rd, Rusty Wallace. Wally Dallenbach finishes 34th. 35th goes to Jeff Purvis. Dick Trickle finishes 36th. 37th is Jeremy Mayfield. 38th today will be Mark Martin. 39th goes to Jeff Burton. And 40th will be Loy Allen. 41st, Jeff Bodine. And 42nd, final finisher today, was Joe Nemechek. Mark Martin, who had that grinding crash, although he is just fine, he comes home as the winner of the Goodies Headache Award today. $1,000 from the folks at Goodies Manufacturing. A $250 donation also going to the Brenner Children's Hospital in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, from Goodies in the name of Mark Martin, who came home in 38th place today. But I'll tell you, it was a scramble from start to finish. Average speed, 158.685 miles an hour. There were 30 lead changes among 11 drivers today. 4 caution flags for a total of 23 laps. 17 cars running on the lead lap, and there were 30 cars in total running out of the starting field of 42. So the Winston Cup teams now get a chance to catch their breath and take a weekend off. Not so for us, however. We'll just pack up the microphones and head north to New Hampshire. We'll be with you next weekend from the New Hampshire International Speedway as the Chevy Dealers 250 for the NASCAR Busch Series goes green next Saturday. Make note of that. It is a Saturday event, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, right here on MRN. There's a softball game up there in New Hampshire on Thursday, Busch Pole qualifying on Friday, and the broadcast next Saturday at 1 right here on MRN Radio. The ticket office open at the New Hampshire International Speedway for your ticket needs. And Barney, 2 weeks from today, our first look at the road course for 1994. We're heading west to California.
Yeah, that'll be kind of an exciting race out there. We're looking forward to that one, but it's going to be a long time before we see anything to equal what we saw here today. And it's just nice to have my voice back and be able to talk about what happened. Can you imagine how I would have went crazy last week at Martinsville, not being able to talk any more than I could if it had been like that today.
But these restrictor plate races have really become something very special. The next one of this kind, July the 2nd in Daytona, the Pepsi 400, for which tickets are also available. Don't forget, throughout this week, we'll be keeping you up to date on the latest NASCAR news. Ned Jarrett will be along in the mornings with his World of Racing. Weekday afternoons, Alan Bestwick will host NASCAR Today. That's our daily 5-minute news show. And Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, NASCAR Live. I'll be along. We'll open up the phones toll-free at 1-800-2-NASCAR. We'll talk Winston Cup, and we'll also talk some Busch Series racing after Hermie Sadler posted the nice win in the Pantry 300 yesterday at the Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina. Patsy Herman and Judy Robinson were on the scoring loop today. Our Alabama gang of 1. Jim Norton was our pit runner. We appreciate his help. Joe Moore, Alan Bestwick, and Fred Armstrong brought you the story from the turns today with Jim Phillips, Winston Kelly, and David Hyatt down in the pits and garage area. Barney Hall was alongside. I'm Eli Gold, and we'll all catch our breaths together. Quite a show here at Talladega today in front of a sold-out grandstand. Dale Earnhardt wins and becomes the winningest driver in Talladega Superspeedway history. Until we talk next throughout the week, and then next Saturday from New Hampshire, for the whole crew, Eli Gold saying so long from Talladega.
MRN Radio. Coverage of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series has come to you from the Talladega Superspeedway. The executive producer of MRN Radio is John McMullen. Associate producer Alan Bestwick. Chief engineer Harry Howard. Production director Clay Stalka. Affiliate relations David Hyatt, Cheryl Knight, and Stephanie Ellis. Production assistants Clark Moore, Sandy Good, and Sherry Owen. This is Rick Lewis. This broadcast was a production of MRN Radio, a division of International Speedway Corporation, celebrating 25 years of great NASCAR racing coverage.